Today, we're going to be taking a look at the corniest FNAF games of all time. From games so goofy you can't help but chuckle, all the way to games that just make you cringe. You're not gonna want to miss this, so let's go. 2D FNAF fan games, something you don't see all too often in the mainstream. A few well-known titles may come to mind. Maybe you think of Playtime with Percy, One Night at Flumpty's, or maybe Too Many Nights pops into your head. However, as of recently, I'm sure there's another very popular 2D FNAF fan game that you can think of. One that's made the rounds in my comment section so much that I can't release any video without getting asked to cover it. Five Nights at Frederick's. I was honestly expecting to not like this game, and no, it's not because it's popular. Do you ever get that feeling where you look at something and you just feel like you're not going to like it? Food is a great example. Sure, I've never tried a Brussels sprout, but I can guarantee you that I'm not going to like it. This is the feeling I had when I first looked at Five Nights at Frederick's. And oh boy, am I ever glad you guys wouldn't shut up about it. Because it has easily become one of my favorite FNAF games of all time. Sit the fuck down and listen to me, a 20-year-old, fully grown man, ramble about a game made for children once again. Five Nights at Frederick's is as simple as a FNAF game can get in terms of what is actually going on. Our character's name is Alan Fritter, and we see an ad in the newspaper. Oh great, a new job, let's apply. Frederick's doesn't try to break the mold here. However, don't let that fool you, as there still is a pretty interesting story this game has to tell. Given the fact there's not much exposition to talk about, we instead get to hop right into night one and go over to the office and look at the tools at our disposal. Our office looks very similar to the office from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Two doors to the right and left of us, some cameras, bada bing bada boom, classic Five Nights at Freddy's. So, why does this game stand out to me and so many others then? Well, I'm glad you asked. Opening up the cameras, we will see the first main gameplay loop Frederick's has to offer. Going to the kitchen cameras, we will see that we're able to make pizzas. This will very quickly become the biggest priority in the entire game, but I'll go into more detail with it when it becomes relevant. But to keep it simple, always make sure you have a pizza cooking. When a pizza is done cooking, you will be able to hear a ding sound cue. That lets you know that you need to start making the next pizza. You'll notice that the doors in your office are replaced by lasers. This is one of the many interesting quirks this game has. Let's go over a few other fun stuff in the office. Occasionally, when you flip up the camera, some things have the chance to change in your office. For example, the main poster can change to have references to other fan games such as Five Newfangled Nights, Five Nights at Frick Bears 3, Not Bear, and Too Many Nights. I think including references to other fan games really helps pull the community together, which I really like. With that out of the way, now we can dive into the threats this night has to offer, starting with this game's Bonnie, or as this game calls him, Bernard das Karnickel. Yes, by the way, each of these characters in this game have been given a German name. If you'd like to know the reason why, tough shit, because even the dev doesn't know why he chose to do this. Bernard acts somewhat similarly to Bonnie, being the character that attacks your doors, except this time around he can attack both instead of just one. A big step up from what he usually does. Frederick's has no lights on the doors, so you'll have to look out for Bernard's fingers to be able to tell that he's there. If he is, use the lasers to shock him and he'll run away. If you don't do so fast enough, he'll step into your office and kinda just stand there, blocking the laser button and just kinda stare at you with his dopey ass face. This is also a good portion of the video to bring up how the power usage in this game works. It's obviously the same as any other game in concept. The more things you're using that waste power, the higher the usage will be, and the higher the usage meter is, the faster your power drains. You'll notice a difference in this game than in a game like Five Nights at Freddy's 1, where in FNAF 1, the moment you stop using something, the usage will instantly decrease, whereas in Frederick's, the power will decrease exponentially. However, this may also just be a visual thing, so maybe I'm just talking stupid right now. This night also introduces Chica, or as this game calls her, Clara das Kuchen. Clara is the reason why cooking the pizzas is so important. Clara will enter the kitchen. If a pizza is not cooking, she'll take charge and start cooking one herself. Except there's something really funny about that. And that's that she literally fucking sucks so bad at cooking you would not believe it. If you let Clara put her pizza into the oven, the building will very quickly start on fire. Very on par for a FNAF game, by the way. When the building is on fire, a brand new mechanic is introduced, the sprinkler system. If your building temperature reaches 120 degrees, none of the electronics in the building will work. That means no cameras and no lasers. This, of course, will result in a death, so you have to use the sprinklers to stop the fire. I honestly think that the sprinkler mechanic is the coolest addition in this entire game. Once you use the sprinklers, the monitor in your office will display how wet the building is. The higher the percentage, the longer it will take for things to activate when used. For example, once you use the sprinklers, it will shoot up to 100%. If you were to then do anything, from trying to start another pizza to using the lasers, you would have to wait around 2 seconds before they would actually activate after pushing them. This doesn't make the game impossible, and this percentage will slowly decrease back down to 0, but this is actually so fucking cool. It's something I don't think I've ever seen before. If you fail a mechanic in the game, instead of just losing, you're given the opportunity to correct yourself. However, it does come at the cost of needing you to react even faster until the wetness goes all the way back down. Yes, it does make the night stressful, but I think it's super cool and once again is my favorite mechanic in the entire game. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. There are actually no post-night minigames in Fredrix, which honestly feels weird to say since I usually spend a pretty decent amount of time in each video talking about them. But since there aren't any, I'm safe to move on to Night 2. God, this game just makes my days so much better. Night 2 introduces 2 new threats. Let's talk about the character you'll recognize more first. Foxy, or as this game calls him, Felix Dare whatever the fuck, I'm not gonna try to say that. Surprisingly, Felix wasn't given a Foxy-like mechanic. Instead, he almost does the opposite. Kind of. Where in FNAF 1, the more you watch Foxy, the less he moves. Felix is the opposite. The more you watch him, the more he moves. And in much the same way as Foxy. And by that, I mean you don't really have to be looking at him, but rather just have the cameras up. You see, Felix might just be a little bit of an autistic fellow. He really likes this spinning casino wheel. So much so that he will get very upset when it's not spinning. Depending on the difficulty setting, you will have a predetermined number of times that you can flip up the camera before the casino wheel stops spinning. And when it does stop spinning, Felix will haul ass to your office to politely ask you to spin it for him again. He's checking up, he's like, please, turn the wheel back on. I like it when the wheel is on. When he's in your office, he'll block the laser button, preventing you from keeping Bonnie or another character we'll mention later out. To spin the wheel, all you have to do is go back over to the camera and push the spin wheel button, where he will then sprint back out of your office to continue watching it spin. Felix and his mechanics remind me in a way of Clara, a general timer that counts down to an event that will make your run more difficult, and its fix is to just click a button on the camera. Now, you might think that because of that, I'd call this a lazy design, and while technically yes, it is pretty much the same recycled mechanic, I actually think that it makes the gameplay loop more enjoyable. Why? Well, Five Nights at Fredrix gets you into what I like to call a flow state while you are playing. Every single mechanic in this game works together to make the entire experience feel satisfying to play. Most mechanics in this game are reaction-based, which is something I like to think I'm pretty good at. This leads to a very smooth feeling gameplay loop where yes, it is challenging, however you almost always feel in control and every single interaction feels solid and responsive. The other threat this night adds is the endoskeleton in the back room, or as this game calls it, Endoskelet. Endoskelet behaves exactly how Bernard does with a small twist. He too will attack either of your 2 doors, but instead of blocking the button like Bernard, Endo will butt bang your power usage and force it to stay completely full until you inevitably die. I personally think that Endo has the weakest mechanic out of this entire game. However, one thing I do appreciate about him is that at least he has the decency to make a sound cue when he arrives at your door, unlike fuck-ass Bernard. Now, you might think this game seems way too easy. You never have to check the cameras until you either A, hear a very distinct sound cue letting you know to bake a pizza, or B, if Felix runs into your office, and usually, I'd agree. Up until this moment, the game is overall pretty easy, but we have yet to introduce a character that will force us to use the cameras and probably make your butthole pucker more than just a few times. So let's move on to Night 3. Night 3 introduces the main attraction himself, Freddy. Or of course, as you already know, this game calls Friedrich Fazbar. Friedrich is bolted to the stage. So that may lead you to ask the question, how is he even a fucking threat if he can't leave the stage? Well, you see, there's actually a pretty interesting plot twist here, and that's that the game fucking lied. Friedrich is bolted to the stage, however, that doesn't prevent him from moving at all. He'll jump up to the vent on the ceiling and start pulling his way through towards your office. You'll be able to see him go through 3 distinct phases on the cameras. Once he reaches stage 3, you must use the lasers to shock him, which will then cause him to go back to the stage where he will promptly try again. What this mechanic does so well for the game is force you to look at the cameras, giving Friedrich synergy with Felix. Now, I have to be transparent here. There is a sound cue that plays whenever Friedrich enters a new phase in the camera. However, it's pretty damn quiet, and with how frequently characters will be screaming from being shocked, music playing loud as fuck in your ear, as well as a multitude of other things, it will probably be very common for you to just not hear these sound cues because of how faint they naturally are. Now, of course, if you have God hearing, then checking the cameras is literally only necessary when a pizza needs to be baked, Felix needs the wheel spun, or Friedrich needs a good shock. But I honestly feel like this mechanic really ties the whole gameplay loop together. So, what could the game possibly do to spice the gameplay up from here? Oh, for fuck's sake, the power went out. Oh, fuck you! Fuck you! Hold on. What the fuck? More specifically, just the lights. Yeah, that's right. The gimmick of Night 4 is that the only way you can see is through a flashlight that follows your mouse. The cameras will be dark as well, making it harder to see some of the characters. Let's just take a moment to talk about how fucking genius this mechanic is. The only other FNAF game that I can think of that does this is Showman's, and it was brilliant there as well. Without literally changing anything about the game, you've just made it much more challenging. Especially when it comes to Bernard. Oh my god, Bernard. Bernard is the sole reason this night is even remotely difficult. If you remember from earlier, Bernard doesn't make a sound cue when he's at your door. He's also one of the characters that doesn't have glowing eyes. So this brings up the question, how are you supposed to be able to tell he's at the door if you can't see him? I want you to take a good long look at this image right here. Do you see it? Yeah, that's Bernard's hand. That's all you get to be able to tell if he's there. Obviously, looking at it now, it seems so clear. How could you even miss that? But let me tell you, when you're in a game, focusing on managing all the characters at once, this little detail could very easily end a lot of your runs. And that was totally the intention. And I think that's really cool. Again, making the game harder without drastically changing anything. It's awesome. But if you manage to complete Night 4, an unknown figure will appear in front of you and roar, flinging you to the back of the office where you'll fall into a springlock suit and fucking die. What the fuck? Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's what happens. And this leads perfectly into Night 5. Night 5 has you awaken, finding out you're not dead inside the suit. Getting back up, you notice the figure that caused your death was Golden Friedrich, the final boss of this game. Using your new powers from the suit, you fucking punch him in the face and he runs away like a bitch. Get ready, guys. Let's talk about the most frustrating character Five Nights at Friedrich's has to offer, Golden Friedrich. Night 5 is easily my favorite night in the entire game. This is the night that really shows off the flow state you can get into while playing this game, and I'll explain why as we go. To start, let's go over how Golden Friedrich works. Golden Friedrich has 4 means of attacking you. The first attack has him go to either of your doors like Bernard. A noticeable sound cue will play, that being him laughing, which by the way you should get used to because he's going to be doing that a lot throughout this night. Deal with him by using the lasers how you'd expect. The next mechanic has him dive into the vent like Friedrich. Deal with him the same way you would Friedrich, just by using the laser. Now we can talk about the other 2 attack methods that aren't seen anywhere else in the game. The first has him appear in your office. When he does, simply fucking punch him in the face. As you can tell by the look on his face after doing so, he is so incredibly shocked that you would even have the balls to attempt something like that. So insane, so he will quickly leave. The final attack, the most soul-sucking, fuck-ass, bitch-ass mechanic. I want you guys to take a guess what he could possibly do. That's right! My least favorite fucking FNAF mechanic ever designed! Teleporting to a random camera and having to search for which one he fucking went to and stare at him until he goes away. Fredrix, you were doing so well. Why'd you have to do this to me? Why'd you have to bend me over and just fuck me right up the ass? Why? Why add this mechanic and blow up my internal organs like the goddamn 4th of July? I'm basically holding your fucking prison wallet. Go find him on the cameras. How about you go find my nuts? But hey, at least the rest of the night is pretty cool. Unlike most boss fight nights from FNAF games, this night doesn't make the boss the only threat throughout. However, this night will slowly reintroduce the characters you've been going up against as the night progresses every hour. 1 a.m., Bernard and Endoskelet reappear. Night 2, Chica and Felix reappear. 3 a.m., Freddy appears. And finally at 4 a.m., your lights go out once more. And at 5 a.m., the building starts on fire, forcing you to use the sprinklers. And from there, it's just a crazy survival game until the final 6 a.m. This night is honestly some of the most fun I've had with a FNAF game. Slowly reintroducing each mechanic throughout the night just made the whole experience slowly feel like it was getting harder and harder, which, to be fair, it was. 100% go try this game out. You will not regret it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that throughout this night, you've been able to see this memory wipe meter slowly fill up. Well, at the end of the night, it completes, and the character we've been playing as so far seemingly finally dies. Golden Frederick laughs at the corpse, and that's when we're shot back to the menu to see that there is a night 6. But if we're dead, how is that even going to work? Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the second main character of this game, Ella Vanilla. Ella is who we play as on night 6. She discovers a job flyer in the local newspaper and decides that it'd be a great idea to become the new night guard at Frederick's. Entering the office for the final night, we're greeted to, oh my fucking god, there's Alan right there. That's right. On top of everything we've seen so far, our previous protagonist becomes an antagonist on this night, and he's pretty damn aggressive as well. Now being called Fritterfalle, he acts as an additional threat to make night 6 a pain in the dick. His mechanic is simple, basically being a music box, something I wasn't super thrilled about when I first saw it, but overall ends up not really feeling like one, even though that's literally all it is. Throughout this night, Fritterfalle will attempt to get up and murk your ass. In order to sedate him, all you have to do is hold his nose. According to the lore, the owners of this restaurant actually tell the technicians to do this to Fritter because they know how much of a threat he is. Yet for some reason, they refuse to throw his ass out. But with that, that's all the main game of Five Nights at Frederick's has to offer. Let's fucking go! Woo! Woo! 217. Ella Vanilla. Fuck yeah, we got SpongeBob over there. Is that Gustavo Fring up here? But, as I'm sure you can tell by looking at the timeline of this video, I still have more I want to talk about. That being the story, and my favorite thing about any game ever, post-game. Let's start with the story. You may think that this game doesn't really have anything else besides what we've already covered with Alan and Ella, but there actually is a little bit more to dissect. I want to first thank commenters such as Lex Gauntly and Redman. If it weren't for comments like these on my Tales of the Bunnyman video, I probably wouldn't feel as confident talking about the story, as it is something I don't like doing because I don't feel like I can do it as much justice as it deserves. I also really want to thank City, the owner of the FNAF Game Wiki, for reaching out to me on Discord to tell me about certain things and clarify any questions I have when researching these videos. Let's start by getting something out of the way. Frederick's Pizza is not a chain restaurant like Freddy Fazbear's, instead just being a standalone restaurant. The animatronics used to be kept in a location known only as F-NJ02. What the hell does that mean? I have no fucking idea. But at some point, these characters were transferred to another location known as F-PA09, which is the restaurant we see in the game. Throughout the game, you learn how to deal with the threats through the pages of the service manual on your desk. Turning over these pages will slowly tell a very disturbing story. They reveal that each animatronic were noted to have unknown human remains making up a majority of their body. Friedrich has human teeth and eyes, Clara has human arms, Bernard is literally just an amalgamation of human mush, Felix has human eyes, and Endo has human veins and teeth. On Flinguary, yes, by the way, the months are named differently in this game, 29th, 2009, Alan Fritter takes the job at Friedrich's after standing outside the building and slapping the window until he was hired. The reason he wanted the job? I have no fucking idea, and it's not clear in the game either, so just accept it. However, it is clear that the animatronics remember him from past events and are intent on killing him. Throughout the night, you are supposed to be taught the mechanics through the manual on your desk. However, the pages of said manual have been ripped out, crumpled, and scribbled on by presumably previous employees. These scribbles are mocking the animatronics, which I get the funny feeling pisses them off a little bit, and it's confirmed that the characters enjoy killing the guards at the establishment. It's confirmed that Clara made her first successful pizza using Alan's body parts. Bernard used his arms as a back scratcher. Friedrich used his fucking veins as dental floss, which is insane, and Endoskelet used his remains as a suit. As far as I could tell, Felix is the only one who didn't do something fucked with the corpse. Obviously, at the end of the week, Alan gets that Soulja Boy cranked on him by Golden Friedrich and is stuffed inside a spare suit. His memory is wiped, and instead of disposing of the corpse in their restaurant, the owners instead instructed the technicians to use him for testing. Okay, maybe I'm too level-headed, but this seems like a very stupid idea that would get OSHA on your ass in about 4 seconds flat. Of course, Ella Vanilla later takes his position and we play as her in Night 6. It's clear that Alan still somewhat has a presence inside of the suit. Obviously because he can attack you while playing as Ella, but also because through the extras menu, we learn that he responds to Ella's comments through the collectibles menu, and at one point even entrusts her with holding an unstated item appearing as some weird-looking snapped object. But really, after this, the story is either unclear or not canon. So as far as I'm aware, that's everything, and Five Nights at Frederick's truly comes to a close. Overall, I think Five Nights at Frederick's is one of the most fun FNAF experiences I've ever had. The game is goofy, the story is simple and silly, and the game mechanics are some of the most solid and fun to play I've ever seen. The amount of post-game in the extras menu is also more than I've seen in many other FNAF games, and I definitely recommend you give it a try. Today, I have the misfortune of telling you about a game that made me so incredibly angry during my playthrough that I've avoided making this very Dxtr White video for the last several months. I have not wanted to touch this game ever since I finished playing it, but here I am. I noticed that I've only been covering games that have been making me happy recently. Games that don't make my blood vessels explode. Well, I figured today I'd switch it up a little bit and talk about a game that makes me so irrationally angry I can barely breathe just thinking about it. Let's waste no more time and jump into the absolute dumpster fire of a world that is Fang's Pizza and Theater. Before the game even begins, we're thrown into Event, with seemingly something standing outside of it. I personally find it fitting that we're sitting in Event because that's personally where I will be crawling to die after finishing this video, which by the way, I will tell you, I cannot wait for. I'm only 3 paragraphs into this and I'm already dreading writing the rest of this video. I played this game so long ago that I've mostly wiped it from my memory, so now I'm forced to watch somebody else play it and relive my traumas like a patient with PTSD. But with that, we're thrown into night 1 and we can talk about the tools at our disposal. And how much I fucking hate them. To start, we obviously have our camera system. Of course, it's a FNAF game, so that's pretty par for the course. On top of that, we have a flashlight. However, this flashlight does not work the way a flashlight normally works. No. No, that would be too easy and make poor little Dexter too happy. Instead, they had to make this flashlight literally worse than Satan. While yes, this flashlight does work as a normal flashlight, it will also be our main form of defense throughout this entire game. So get used to using it constantly. But we'll talk more about that once we start talking about the threats this piece of shit bullshit fuck-ass game introduces. The flashlight's battery will decrease very fast for reasons I'll talk about a bit later. For now, let's talk about what you have to do when this flashlight gets low on battery. Well, I'm sure you've noticed just from the footage I'm showing you on screen right now, but the office we're in is pretty big. Turning around completely, we'll find a shelf with several batteries on it. Clicking on one of these piles of batteries will completely fill our flashlight, but we obviously only have a limited amount of batteries, so we can't be retarded about it. The last thing I want to talk about before we dive into the characters this night introduces are the 3 entrances to our office. The left vent, the window in front of us, and the right door. That's really it. There's no way to close any of them. They're just entrances. Okay, moving on. Night 1 introduces 2 threats, and both of them go to show off the worst mechanic this game has to offer, in my opinion, that being the main fucking mechanic. Maybe I'm just salty today, I don't know, but I really didn't like this game, as I'm sure you could have already been able to tell. Let's start from the simplest character, Faye. Faye acts as this game's introductory character. She's so incredibly easy to understand, but don't let that fool you. I've lost several fucking times to this piece of shit, so don't get it twisted. Faye will begin on the east stage. From there, she'll move to the dining room, to the bar where you'll be able to find me for the next week until it's time for me to write the next white video. Then, from the bar, she'll move to the hallway, wherein directly after she'll show up outside of our office window. And this is also where the first ass-clenching mechanic gets introduced. You can't see characters in your office unless you flash your light on them. Now, is this a problem by itself? No, of course not. Not at all. However, when your main mechanic is your flashlight and you need to waste power constantly checking bullshit, then it makes me piss an entire fire hydrant out of my urethra. Anyways, when you see Faye at your window, that's when it's time to act. And this is also where I get to talk about that silly little thing your flashlight does that I mentioned earlier. If you hold down your flashlight, it'll slowly charge and then release a light so bright you'd think a 3rd nuke was dropped on Japan. Bam! Bitch, the light of God on your ass. Obviously, Faye doesn't fucking like it when you literally put the sun in her eyes, so she backs off and goes back on stage. However, using this big mega flash wastes a bunch of power on your flashlight, so it's likely you'll have to grab a battery. Dexter, that doesn't really sound so bad. I don't know why you're complaining. Well, just sit back. If you haven't figured out what this game is about to do to my organs, you will soon find out, so stick around. The second threat introduced on this night is the main attraction, Fang. Fang is everything you hate about Faye, except even worse because he has more choices. Typical man, am I right, ladies? Huh? No? Okay, moving on. Fang will begin on the east stage with Faye. From there, he'll move to the dining room. However, at this point, he has 2 options for what he can do next. Let's cover his first route first, wherein he'll go from the dining room to the restrooms, and from the restrooms to the hallway. Want to hear something awesome about him going to the hallway? You can't fucking see him when he's there. Why? Because fuck your mother in the face, that's why. From the From the hallway, he'll jump into the vents, which thankfully you can hear. And then, finally, he will be in the vent entrance of your office. Of course, you won't be able to see him without your flashlight, and just like Faye, when you see him, drop little boy on him and he'll go away. Alright, time to talk about Fang's second route, where he goes from the dining area to the bar. Once again, you will notice I am still present there because I've drank so much to the point where the bartender took my keys and I'm sitting there thinking, bitch, I can't leave. I'm miles away from home and you took my keys, so I guess I'm staying the night. After that, Fang moves to the hall corner, and from there he appears at our office's doorway. Do you want to take a guess what we do when he's there? That's right, we drop Fat Man on his ass and he'll go away. Are you starting to notice a pattern here and why it might be possibly incredibly frustrating, especially on later nights when the AI really kicks it into high gear? If not, you'll soon learn. But that's all this night has to offer. Of course, we also get a post-night minigame to play. Hooray! I never actually got any minigames in my playthrough. I'm not really sure why, and I don't give enough of a fuck to figure it out, if I'm being honest with you. So let's just talk about the minigame. In it, we have to talk to our boss, which is this thick rabbit. And bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'd suck the cum out of her dad's dick just to get the recipe, because... And bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'd suck the cum out of her dad's dick just to get the recipe because hot damn, I'd go crazy for this thing. She tells us to take out the trash like a good little boy, and I get down on all fours and do whatever she tells me to. Ruff, ruff! While looking for garbage cans, we walk into the bathroom and get teleported into some grandma's varicose veins. I'm not really sure why we're here, but there's shadow children running around and flashing hallucinations. After walking around the most nauseating place I've ever been in my entire life, we find this thing. What is it? I literally have no idea. But after we touch it, we're teleported back to the restaurant where we can find the rest of the garbage and finish up our shift by talking to mommy, and finally night one comes to a close. I really don't like how long it took me to talk about this night because I still have so much more to talk about, and I really would like to go back to forgetting that this game even exists. So let's just keep trucking through it. Starting night 2, we have another cutscene. This time, instead of being an event, we appear under a table or something. Who cares? We hear some footsteps, see whatever the hell this is at the end, and finally we're dropped into the next night section. During the phone call, we learn that the owner is trying to sell off the company. Last night's phone call told us about some new competitor restaurant that's doing better, probably Fazbear's if I had to guess. Who cares about the owner's problems? My problems matter to me a lot more, and I think that's a life lesson we could all take to heart. Mind your own fucking business. Only one new threat is introduced on this night, Melody the Bat. Thankfully, Melody acts as more of an annoyance character than an actual threat, and you really shouldn't have to worry too much about her. Melody will start on the west stage. From there, she'll move to the dining room, then the restrooms. Then she'll go to the hallway, to the hallway's corner, to the ordering station, then either the kitchen or the bar to visit me. Finally, depending on where she went, she'll either go to the parts and service or the dining room, and from there she'll jump back to the bathrooms. So, what is she actually doing all this time? Well, she has a chance to randomly attack one of the cameras. When she's attacking one, you'll get a notification in the corner of your cameras telling you so. You'll have to find the camera she's on and stare at her. If you don't, then she'll knock that camera out for the rest of the night. But get this, it really doesn't fucking matter. Her find her on the camera bullshit is pretty much nullified by the fact you really only need to watch 3 cameras throughout the entire game. So if she's not attacking any of those 3, then it doesn't really matter. Let them get fucked, nobody cares. Fang and Faye ramp up quite a bit on this night, so I don't really appreciate that. But with that, that's all night 2 really has to offer, and we can move on to the post-night 2 minigame. I'm very excited to see the Rabussy again. I can't lie, I'm rocking about a half chub right now just thinking about it. In this minigame, our Dom boss tells us to mop up the floors. I'll literally do anything you ask me, please. I don't think you understand. I'm such a degenerate. Anyways, fuck actually doing that. Behind the counter, we find a weird looking chair. Touch it and it'll take us back to Vane's world. If anybody gets that reference, I love you, by the way. Touch that weird looking thing again and we go back to the restaurant. Finish mopping and we can move on to night 3. Come on, let's keep it moving. Night 3 begins with another cutscene. In it, we're in a hallway this time, and we see this very tall, nice-looking gentleman at the end of the hallway. Very cool. However, unfortunately, I literally don't care at all. Please, let's just move on to the night section. I really don't care about what the phone guy has to say on this night, but if you guys do, he basically tells us a story about how Fang was stuck in the vents, and they spent over an hour trying to get him out. Whoopity-doo, suck me off. Who's introduced on this night, and is it literally the worst character on the face of the planet Earth? Yes. The answer to that question is yes. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the literal cancer of the world, Nubs the Bear. Nubs is by far the most frustrating character in this entire game, and not even necessarily from his mechanic alone, but specifically from an anecdote I have from my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. Nubs begins on the west stage. From there, he'll move to the dining room. Then he'll go to either parts and service or the entrance. Then the bar to greet me once again. Yes, I still haven't left. Then from there, he'll either go to the hallway or the ordering station, and finally, he'll enter the vent. If Nubs ever gets to your vent, there's no way to stop him because he will be crawling all the way inside of your butt. God damn it! Fuck me and my... what the fuck? I didn't see him anywhere. What the fuck, bro? I didn't see him. So, how do you stop him from doing that? Well, you can catch Nubs on two of the cameras he goes through, the hallway and the ordering station. If you stare at him for a few seconds, he'll reset. However, this is where literally Death Incarnate himself comes out in the form of Nubs. This game literally does not tell you which camera Nubs can appear in, and Nubs, being a very dark character, is incredibly hard to notice on the cameras if you don't know where to look. And on top of that, he also hides, making it even harder to see him. So a mix of all of this leads to you literally dying to Nubs because you have no way of knowing which fucking cameras he can appear on without hours and hours of trial and error. This is the bullshit I went through during my playthrough. This motherfucker right here is why I never wanted to touch this game again. This piece of shit spit in my asshole, ruptured my spleen, caused my appendix to burst, and gave me a brain aneurysm. I hate this guy so much. He's not even challenging to deal with. It's just a pain in the dick that it took me what felt like 4 fucking months to figure all of his bullshit out. I think I'd rather get a urethral swab than ever play this game again, specifically because of this asshole right here. Play the game yourself. Fuck you. I'm not even gonna tell you which cameras he appears on. I hate all of you. Fuck. And of course, if you couldn't guess, both Fang and Faye have been ingesting cocaine like a suppository, so they're absolutely cracked out of their minds. Dude, I don't even want to. I actually just don't want to play this. Riding me like a bike throughout the entire night makes the process of looking for Nubs the most foreskin ripping process on the planet. Damn. Anyways, rocking a full chub, we can move on to the minigame. Master tells us that we have to prep the tables, but we instead choose to find a broom and teleport to hell and touch a weird looking thing instead. Afterwards, we do snap back to reality and do what she says in hopes that she steps on me with her sweaty feet. Jesus Christ, what am I writing? This entire video has just been like disgusting line after disgusting line. I hope you freaks are happy. Let's move on to night 4. I don't know where we are, but that really tall guy is watching us again. All leaned over looking ass, spring Bonnie looking ass. I personally want to know why we're always on the floor in these cutscenes. It's a little ridiculous. Anyways, on to the night section. Guys, why does it feel like I'm always being tortured? Night 4 introduces a threat that is literally so annoying, so teeth gritting, so fist clenching. It's honestly impressive how the devs of this game just continue to make each night progressively more and more frustrating every single time without fail. Night 4 introduces Fang Sr. We've barely been introduced to any characters so far, and already we're repeating ourselves, so that's not a good sign. Fang Sr. is quite literally, probably without a shadow of a doubt, the most annoying character from any FNAF game I've ever played. I'm seriously not exaggerating one bit. I'm completely serious. I unironically think I would rather play the entire Jolly series again than this game ever again. I'm so incredibly dead ass, it's not even funny. Fang Sr. has perfect synergy with Fang in literally the worst way imaginable. Fang Sr. can only attack from one entrance, but he defies all logic, and I hate him. He starts in parts and service. From there, he already starts doing whatever the fuck it is he wants. He'll go to either the entrance, the dining room, or the bar. 3 choices, who gives a shit? Then he'll either go to the ordering station or the kitchen. Finally, he'll hit the hallway corner, and that's when he does it. That's when he goes to your office door, just like Fang. However, unlike Fang, you can't shine your light at him. If even for a moment, a fraction of a second, even the smallest beam of light touches his eyes, you are completely fucked, and he'll make you arch your back like a college girl who left her long-term boyfriend to live the college experience. We all know what that's really code for. When Fang Sr. enters your office, you have to stand completely still. He'll stand in your office for literally 100,000 years before finally leaving. During this time, you can't open your cameras, you can't turn around, you can't flash your flashlight, you can't even turn your fucking head. You literally move even 1 inch and this guy will make you a part of the Me Too movement. So, if you haven't figured out what the 2 major problems are with this character, allow me to explain them to you. To start, let's talk about the obvious one. He sits in your office for so long that by the time he finally leaves, you'll have lost track of literally every other character, and there will probably be someone ready to be flashed, or Nubs will have made it into your vent. Wasn't fast enough, bro. Seniors was fucking my shit. He was fucking my shit up. Who knows? Who knows? That doesn't even matter anymore. And you can't even be good at this mechanic. And that's the most infuriating part. When Fang Sr. enters your office, you're basically just dropping to your knees and praying the game doesn't skull fuck you. Let's talk about the other glaring and much more frustrating issue with this character. We have to talk a bit more about Fang himself first. Tracking Fang really isn't necessary and is honestly not worth your time because it will leave you with more cameras you'll need to check when Melody is attacking. So it's much better to just quickly flash the vent and doorway every once in a while to check if Fang is there. But of course, now we have a character who, if we even flash for a millisecond, will kill us. So get ready to accidentally flash Fang Sr. over 12,000 times trying to beat this piece of shit. And we're only on night 4. It's going to get harder. Much, much harder. Like a shit ton harder. And not even skill-wise harder. Just dick-swinging Grandpa Fang limping his gimp ass into your room at random harder. During night 4's post-night minigame, we have to fill up cups because the customers are thirsty. I am personally thirsty for our boss, but I think I've made my stance on her objectively clear. Who cares about doing that? Touch whatever this thing is, go to the death world, touch this other thing I don't know the name of, finish filling the cups, and we can move on to night 5, aka Razor Blades in My Water Night. Night 5's cutscene has us yet again under a table in what appears to be parts and service. I think this robot on the floor in front of us is the character we've seen over the last few nights, but I can't be sure. Night 5 introduces nothing new, thank God. However, it does serve to be literally one of the most RNG-ridden, frustrating nights from any FNAF game I've ever played in my entire life. I would rather attempt post-shift 2 for an entire day. I cannot describe to you how much I did not enjoy this game. I almost feel bad constantly ripping on it, but to be fair, it kept constantly ripping my asshole. Since I don't have any new threats to bring up, and if I continue to shout, I might go into cardiac arrest, I have nothing left to talk about aside from the post-night minigame. This time around, we need to touch a barrel in the first room we're in. From there, we touch the weird thing in the death area and then go to our future dungeon master. She tells us to bring the cake to the main room, and we walk into the kitchen to do exactly that exactly then. Upon bringing the cake to the main room, both my wife and all of the children just stare at us. Upon talking to my owner, all she says is thanks, and the minigame abruptly ends. I don't want to tell you about the cutscene we see next. Just take a look. So yeah, that's actually just terrifying and one of the most disgusting and uncomfortable things I've seen in my entire life. The thought of hiding from one of these robots and it being intelligent enough to find you is unironically one of the scariest things of all time. And for all of the shit I've been giving this game throughout this whole video, I will say this cutscene is one of the most dread-inducing things I've ever seen in a FNAF game. So hats off for that. Oh yeah, one thing I should have mentioned that I just fucking didn't is that the only way you can get the post-night minigames is by finding a floppy disk during the night sections. So yeah, I'll just throw that in right here because I'm lazy. You're welcome. But with that, we can talk about night 6, by far the most interesting nights in this entire game. And yes, it does still make me pee blood. If you've done all the weird minigame blood butt touching, then a new character will be active on this night, that being Miss Willow. Miss Willow is an owl and acts as this game's boss fight night. And a boss fight she really is. Except instead of a fight to survive her, it's a fight to prevent myself from putting a certain metal object to my temple. Miss Willow is literally just a find them on the camera character. I'm not kidding. That's literally her only fucking mechanic. She'll say, "Find me," and you have to do exactly that. Except she does this a lot, in very quick succession, constantly, throughout the whole night. This is not gameplay. This is torture. If you fail to find her 3 times in a row, she'll randomly appear in any of the 3 entrances to your office, where you'll have to flash her to make her reset. Except the window of time to do this is so astronomically low, it might as well not even exist. I cannot describe to you how frustrating and bullshit this boss fight is. I hate it. I never beat it. I didn't get to do it in my playthrough over on my second channel, Dxtr Black, but I did attempt it while writing this video. And yeah, no, I'll pass, thanks. Fuck this night and fuck this game. After completing the boss fight, there's one more minigame to talk about. In it, all we have to do is follow Willow around the building. She talks some bullshit about a her, not explaining who that is. I don't care, guys. Here's all of the text she says in the cutscene. Read it if you give a shit. I don't care enough. I'm so done at this point. Afterwards, the minigame ends. Turning around in our seat, we see that Willow has somehow gotten into our house. Her face cracks open and 2 small hands grab it from the inside, splitting the face open and jump scaring us, which I'm praying to God just killed us right there on the spot. But even after that, we're still not done. No, this game needs to keep a chokehold on me for just a little bit longer. We get one final cutscene where we're back in the vent for some reason. We hear a woman crying and Willow appears in front of the vent again, and we wake up from a fucking dream. Are you literally ripping my scrotum off? A dream game? Really? Fuck you. Literally fuck you and fuck your entire face. I hate you. That's pretty much all Fang's Pizza and Theater has to offer. There is an additional mode called Golden Days, which, since we're here, I guess I'll quickly talk about it. Five Nights at Fang's The Golden Days is an older title in the Fang series. This appears to be just that game as a director's cut packed into this game as well. I never played it for myself, and I actually didn't even know this existed until doing research for this video. The version in this game consists of only one night and only has Fang, Faye, and Nubs. Except it only seems like Fang can move. He'll wander through the building before appearing in your vent. Just hold your flashlight on him and he'll fuck off. From watching Indie Fuel, my guardian angel, play this night is so slow and nobody even moved until like 4 a.m. So this just seems awful. The only reason I choose to mention this game is the minigame that takes place after you beat it. In it, you play as a large rabbit, maybe the one from the final cutscene, and you're in someone's house. You're holding something, but I can't quite tell what it is. But we walk out of the house and get surrounded by some bullies. They say we have rabbit ears. They say nobody loves nerds, which is literally just the biggest lie of all time. Ladies can confirm. They tell us to shut up and that they never want to see our face again, which tells me that this character is either a child that got infused with a rabbit suit, maybe, or it's just a kid wearing a rabbit suit. I have no idea. I don't even know any characters' names as to who this could be. And lucky me, this video is long enough, so I don't have to care. Hype in the Five Nights at Freddy's community. Something that is one of my favorite parts of the entire fandom. Seeing people get excited for new titles is always exciting, and a large majority of the time, the games they're excited for turn out to be amazing. Currently, I know I'm waiting for Soulless Look to come out. That one looks awesome. But of course, with all hype comes games that get overhyped and can never live up to the expectations. And sometimes an even weirder phenomenon happens. We get people hyping up a game that's already released, only for the game to be pretty lackluster overall. This is the central theme of the game we'll be talking about in today's video. That game being Bondi's Barnyard Safety Violation. A game I've been recommended more than even games like Left to Rot and Banshee, even though the actual game itself is probably one of the most boring games I've ever played. So join me today as we dive into the weird world of this game and see if we can figure out why so many people say it's as great as it is. Bondi's Barnyard starts like many other FNAF games just like it, with a newspaper clipping. Psych! I just lied to your stupid, ugly face. It doesn't start with a newspaper clipping. It starts with a cutscene. Something I know I tend to do frequently when talking about cutscenes in games is to criticize the voice acting if I feel like it's bad and takes away from the overall feel of the game. However, this game, as you'll see, is pretty silly in nature, and because of that, I feel like the definitely bad voice acting is actually pretty fitting. Take a listen.
Security guard is really an arbitrary decision to fulfill a legal requirement. Bondi, Grice, 40, they're all equipped with a security system capable of tracking down any intruder. They can even hear a person breathing within a 50-meter radius.
What about the cow?
Kur the cow is different in that she is designed to care for a child who has lost their parents. She will keep them closer until the parents return.
Excuse me, but this all seems a bit excessive for a children's establishment.
Well, even though the animatronic security system is very hands-on, they wouldn't be able to kill an adult.
What about a child?
Oh shit, he able to kill the fuck out of a child. Gulp! Alright, after that silly little goofy cutscene insinuating that the robots could 100% kill a child, which I'm in total favor of, by the way, then we finally get the newspaper about a missing child. How interesting. I know if I saw that headline in the newspaper, I'd be smiling from ear to ear. Child missing. A child's gone missing at Bondi's barnyard on their own birthday. The child's mother filed a missing persons report to the local authorities. The restaurant claims no wrongdoing, but have doubled their safety precautions and has employed a full-time security guard. Unlike most other FNAF games, Bondi's Barnyard, also known as Bondi's Barnyard Safety Violation, is only one night long, but split into multiple hours. Now, I've mentioned that this game has been hyped up a lot, but why is that, you might be asking? Is it because of the visuals? No. Is it because of the gameplay? No. Is it because of the story? No. Then what could it possibly be, Dxtr? Well, my dear viewer, the answer to that question is likely because you play as the missing child mentioned in the newspaper, and that child is stuck inside of the cow animatronic the entire night. That's really about it as far as I can tell, because in all honesty, I think this game's actual gameplay is pretty weak. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. For now, we're thrown into hour 1, fresh meat. And I can start talking about the threats and the tools at our disposal. And the first tool I want to mention is our camera system and the fact that we just don't fucking have one. You may be wondering how the hell we're going to have an entire FNAF game with no camera system. That's a wonderful question. Let me go ahead and answer it. In front of us, you'll see 2 doors. You can close them both and flash your light into both. There's also one other thing that you're able to do, that being holding the mouth of the animatronic we're trapped in open so that we're actually able to breathe. You'll be able to tell how close we are to dying due to not breathing based on the percentage we see on the screen on the wall. You may be wondering how in God's dick that screen is showing us that, and the answer to that question is piss in your own mouth and gargle it. Obviously, while you're holding the mouth open, you won't be able to interact with anything else. So just like, only open it when you have the time. Which I promise you, you will have plenty of, by the way. All right, next thing we're able to do. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I wonder what it could be. Nothing. It's nothing. I've literally just described to you every single mechanic throughout this game. Doors and a reverse Freddy mask. That is literally the entire game. Some people say that this is their favorite FNAF fan game ever made, and I just can't see how. You're going to see throughout this video how mind-numbingly boring this game actually is. One thing I want to mention is this game's version of phone calls. It does something very reminiscent of One Night at Flumpty's 2, that being having the phone call be a song. However, unlike Flumpty's 2, where the phone call song is actually a certified hood classic, the songs in Bondi's Barnyard sound just about as appealing as getting fingered in the bleachers after school by a guy who smells like BO and breathes really hard through his nose and his mouth at the same time.
You are somewhere you're not meant to be. I guess you'll have to settle for the company of me. If the camera sees free song, say she's. Don't let them put you on your knees.
Wasn't that just awful? Wasn't that just terrible? Wasn't that just dog shit? Wasn't that just horrendous? Wasn't that just amazing? Yeah, I know it was. Anyways, you may have noticed in that little jingle that the guy mentioned something about the camera. You might be asking yourself why he even mentioned the cameras if we can't even look at them. Well, that would be because there is actually a night guard on duty while trapped inside of this robot, which I will be honest is actually a pretty cool concept. However, quite a few plot holes open up because of this, the main one being pretty obvious. However, before I explain that plot hole to you, I should first mention the first threat this night introduces, that being the camera I just mentioned, being able to see it clearly directly in front of you. Occasionally, throughout the night, it will activate. While it is on, if you are to interact with anything, that being the doors, the lights, or the suit itself, the camera will spot you inside the suit and you will die. Now, the plot hole I want to mention is, if we're a child trapped inside of this robot, why the hell would we not make it obvious that we're trapped inside the robot? Like, trust me, I get it that the robot kills us if we let the guard notice us, but like, how would the kid even know that that would happen? I know the phone guy or whatever explained it to us, but in all honesty, I highly doubt the kid was paying any fucking attention to that. Have you ever met a child? Truly one of the most terrible experiences anybody can have. I literally hate them. They're retards. Stupid fucking drool leaking out of mouth ass waste. But Dxtr, you were a child once. Yeah, and my mom is a saint for not dropping me in the dryer and turning that bitch on spin cycle. She has much more restraint than I. Anyways, moving on. There was only one other threat introduced on this night, and that threat is your big fat patty whacker double-decker dick smacker crack whacker poop fapper mother, aka just a fucking robot pig. Does it have a name? Yeah, probably, but I'm not going to waste my time and look it up. I've got complaining to do. The pig's goal is to make it to your left door. Once he gets to the door, just close it until you hear him bang on it. Then you can open the door again. That's it. And there's literally nothing interesting you can do while waiting for him to appear. At least in other FNAF games, during the boring first night, you can at least spam through the cameras. Fucking something interesting, but this game just has nothing. Do you want to see what a majority of this game looks like? Doesn't that just look so fucking fun? Makes me want to slap my mama like the DoorDash driver does to my fucking McDonald's order like a little slut.
So I'm waiting on my McDonald's to get DoorDash to me, and I see the DoorDasher do this crazy shit.
Anyways, before we move on to night 2, we need to talk about the post-night 1 cutscene. Great! As if I wasn't already sitting on my ass doing absolutely nothing, now I get to stick my thumb on my ass and mindlessly stare at a screen even more.
Happy birthday, my child. For your gift, I'll let you go to Bondi's barnyard.
Okay. I guess we go to Bondi's then.
Hey,
you look
sharp as a sausage. I'm building a house.
What is it? Is that just like the little voice box?
What material should I use for it?
Oh, you're a little piggy, so you should make your house out of bricks, bro. Out of bricks.
Of course.
Yes.
Thank you.
You are so fucking welcome, bro. I've read the story. I know what happens if you don't use those motherfucking bricks. 2 a.m. count sheep. How about you count my balls? 1, 2, and also 3, because one time in high school I landed real weird and one split in half. So wasn't that just an amazing use of my time? I don't know who shot this dog. I don't know who shot this duck's dog in the... I don't know who shot this duck's dog in the fucking face right in front of him, but he has no reason to be looking all traumatized like that. Obviously, you could tell what happened in the cutscene since you just saw it, but one tiny detail I do want to point out that you may have missed is the disgusting render of a duck that can be seen during the first fade to black. Pretty cool, I suppose? All right, hour 2, here we go. How are we feeling, everyone? Good? Huh? No? Pretty bad? All right, fuck me, I suppose. Well, since you guys aren't excited, I'm going to be making you listen to the second call this game has to offer. Truly, some M&M level bars are on the way.
Barnyard safety violation, type 2.
When the clock strikes 2, one threat becomes a crew. Just make sure you check the right door. Otherwise, you might not be prepared for what's in store.
Lovely. My ears only hurt a lot. Thanks for asking. Anyways, what is the amazing threat introduced on this night? Well, have you ever seen Corey in the house? Well, the threat introduced on this night is a sheep. This sheep, in all honesty, adds a mechanic that adds a lot to this game. Probably more than any other character. This single sheep is actually the reason why I decided to make a white video on this game. I was thinking of what game to talk about next, and I've had this one on the back burner for so long just because of how fucking boring it is. But then I remembered this sheep and the absolutely extraordinary unique mechanic he introduces. Listen to this. He walks to the right door, and you have to close it. I fucking lied! He's just a fucking pig, god damn it! You really honestly thought I was about to reveal a mechanic so mind-boggling that I have to gracefully wipe my nuts across a cactus? Absolutely not. The only thing this game reminds me of is the massive shit I took earlier. Like, guys, I'm literally not even playing around at all. This is actually the only thing introduced on this night. And the night is still slow as hell, too. Do you want to watch this entire night? Because I'm about to show it to you in 10 times speed. Literally absolutely nothing is going on in this damn game, bro. I'm sitting here, day in my hand, ready to start cranking my shit, but there's not even any hot animatronics for me to oogle over. I quite literally have no material to work with for this video. I'm trying my damn hardest since I've been getting asked to make a video on this game for months at this point. Damn, guys, I'm struggling. Why do you like this game? Anyways, let's move on to the post-hour 2 cutscene.
Hey there!
Hi.
Would you want to be my little shepherd for today?
No, you are British. You are British and bad.
Could you count all of these sheep?
One, motherfucker.
That's right.
Oh,
There's
fuck yeah.
one sheep.
Goddamn
Thank
right
you
it's
so,
right.
so
You
much.
goddamn right I'm right, bitch.
Happy birthday.
That fucking happy birthday. Don't happy birthday me, bitch. Who the fuck you think you talking to? Like, actually, what the hell is even that, bro? We got asked to count sheep, then motherfucker puts one sheep on the screen. It's like the devs of this game really wanted to put something interesting after each hour, but once they got around to actually doing it, they realized how much of a pain in the ass that would actually be, so they just shit on a plate and fed it to us. Anyways, on to hour 3. Hopefully something interesting is actually introduced this time around. By the way, I'm just now realizing that I've never actually explained where the hell we are in the building. We're of course in a cow animatronic, like I've already said. So your stepmom, since your mom is the pig. So obviously that means we're in the ice cream room or whatever. What is the ice cream room? I have no idea. Here's the phone call, dick lips.
When the clock turns 3, there might just be another friend whose goal is your end. A door won't put up a proper fight. To fend this guy off, you must use the light.
All right, well, if it wasn't obvious from that phone call what the threat introduced on this night is going to do, strap in, because it's going to take a long time for me to explain it to you. Everybody ready? Yeah? Yeah? Got a snack? A little bit of a drink, some meat in hand. What? Pause. All right, cool. Once this old fucking geezer with a name I don't know appears at your door, just hold the light on him and he'll go away. That's it. That's all you have to do. Third character introduced, and still the only mechanic is basically doing nothing. I'm actually so serious when I ask the question of who the hell could possibly like this game. It's literally one of the most boring FNAF games I've ever played. And if you keep up with my second channel, Dxtr Black, then you'd know I play quite a lot of terrible stinkers over there. Yet for some reason, people won't stop telling me how awesome this game is. It's not awesome at all. I'm fucking hating talking about this. Yet I'm having fun complaining about it at the same time, so I really have to ask myself the question if it actually bothers me that much. I'm convinced this game had to be the first game the dev ever made, because it just reeks of rookie, stinks of a my first project. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with your first project as a game dev not being the most amazing and polished thing you've ever seen. But I really want to be clear here, okay? My frustration isn't with the game itself, but more so with the incredible amount of people that have been wanting to hear me talk about it. Like, are you having fun hearing shit about this game? Like, honestly answer that question. Really think about it. Are you really having a good time watching this video? Or are you just having fun hearing me read a bunch of random slop I wrote down to pad out the runtime so that this video isn't literally 4 minutes long because this game has nothing to work off of? I'm actually just noticing as I'm writing this that I've actually forgotten to mention a character that's been introduced. I forgot which night he actually is introduced on, but something is telling me you guys really don't care about the specifics, since I'm willing to bet a good majority of you are sleeping right now. Actually, you want to test that theory? Let's take a look. Morning, sunshine! Anyways, the next threat introduced is that goofy little duck guy that we see in the post-night cutscenes. Unironically, this guy is actually somewhat interesting. That is, for this game standards, not FNAF standards in general. He sort of acts like the Foxy of this game, mainly just because he has a charge mechanic, not because he really plays like Foxy. Again, remember, no cameras here. At complete random, that screen that keeps track of our death timer will randomly turn on and show the path that runs across the floor of the room we're in. You'll be able to see the duck running across this path. Depending on which direction is shown, you will have to close the corresponding door before the duck literally throws its entire body into it like your mom throws her entire body into the Make-A-Wish kid standing in line at the Golden Corral. So there we go. Now I've covered everything that's happened in the game so far. And with that, let's move on to the post-hour 3 cutscene / minigame that never ends up being an actual minigame because it's just a cutscene and then you click once, and calling that a game is a little bit generous.
Welcome to Bobby's Barnyard. I got something here just for you. Blow out whenever you're ready.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, we blew him out.
Look.
Oh shit, oh, he's dead. What the fuck? Alright, so that cutscene was quite a bit different and more interesting than they usually are. A man died, very based. He had a stupid nose anyway, so that's totally fine by me. And we got to see some more creep shots fade onto the screen, including a crazy back shot. Pause. All right, we've done this 3 times already. How about we go for number 4? Are we ready for another literal fire diss track? The likes of which you've never seen before in your 14 years of life on this planet? Because I know damn well, despite the amount of times I say in my videos that children really shouldn't be watching them, all of you little fucking gremlins keep doing it anyways.
You should know exactly what's in stock. Now and it's 4 o'clock.
All right, so clearly MC Retard is running a bit low on music material. That's fine. Let's move on to talking about the new threat this hour introduces, and that would be a total of 0 because nothing new was added on this night. However, it is technically harder than the previous night for one main reason. The characters attack much more frequently. At least one attack every 10 seconds or so. While this still doesn't make the game hard by any means, at least now the gameplay isn't just So yeah, get ready to be attacked by Freddy Krueger once every 10 seconds for like 7 minutes. I'm sure you'll be able to handle it just fine. We've handled worse on this channel, right? Let's do some reminiscing. This game has put me through so much bullshit! I've been holding back way too much! I think I'm gonna fucking explode! Like a toddler, a little stupid Korean baby, a little insignificant whore. You're basically just dropping to your knees and praying the game doesn't skull fuck you.
No fucking shit, we're gonna take the juice, you dumb bitch!
I swear to God, intelligence is chasing the squirrel, but she's just so much faster.
How about you go find my nuts?
Yeah, great times we've had on this channel, huh? I'm glad you and I can just be happy all the time, never upset, constantly having a great time, never complaining about anything. Just plain old ignorant bliss all the time. Like this stupid looking cat. I love that guy. Anyways, on to talking about the post-hour 4 cutscene. Let's take a peek, shall we?
Hello, I'm Coo the cow, and, is something wrong? Don't worry. Whatever it is, I'll protect you.
Ooh.
I promise.
Yeah, I think I'm stuck in you right now, bro. I'm digging in you. Literally the exact same expression when I catch a glimpse of my homie's hog in the shower. The only thing missing is a bit of drool, a little saliva. Editor, add in some saliva here to make it a little bit more realistic. Yeah, that's what we like to see. You get paid to do this. How does that make you feel, little piglet? Anyways, on to hour 5. Hour 5 acts as this game's boss fight night, introducing a character that does exactly what you'd expect. taking the roles of every character we've seen so far and just being so unrealistically fast that it completely breaks the immersion of the entire game. His name is I fucking lied to you, dumbass. Nothing new was actually introduced on this night, and all of the characters are just faster. To give credit where credit is due, this night actually is a tad bit challenging, but that doesn't change the fact that the gameplay loop of this game is hands down probably the most boring shit I've ever played in my entire life. I played it over on my second channel, Dxtr Black, over 6 months ago, so I literally don't even remember what I was doing during a lot of the sections of this game where nothing is happening, which, by the way, if you needed a reminder, is a majority of the game. After completing night 5, we get one more news clipping. It reads, "Missing child has been found deceased inside restaurant. It went lost. The child had somehow climbed inside a robotic mascot, where it later suffocated to death early in the morning. Police are investigating the night guard that somehow didn't realize that child was in the building, slowly dying the entire night." So yeah, the child we played as still fucking died. All of that mind-numbing work just for the kid to die anyways. Love it. And you might be thinking, well, Dxtr, that's just a bad ending. The good ending has the kid survive. But little did you know, you're actually more wrong than people that think the word stuff in Oreo's Double Stuff has 2 F's. It just doesn't. And this game, it just doesn't have a good ending. Or a bad ending for that matter. This is literally the only ending that you can get. And the child dies, which honestly sounds like a happy ending in my book anyways. Now, truth be told, that's not all this game has to offer. There are a plethora of custom night challenges to try out, including 5 additional characters that will be added throughout them. Now hold up, you're telling me that this game had 5 additional characters and none of them were used in the base game? Why? Don't get me wrong, I'm very aware that plenty of other FNAF games do this. Chuck E. Cheese Rebooted, FNAF Showtime, and Freddy's Reanimated to name a few, but the difference between those games and this one is that those games all had a base story mode that was actually interesting to a point where they didn't need more characters, and the extra characters were just something fun to add on top of it. Bondi's Barnyard did not have that. I feel like they really should have used these characters throughout the main hours of the game to stop their players from committing seppuku. But hey, here we are, so let's quickly talk about all of them. The first guy to bring up is Pablo the Frog. His mechanic is very simple, but actually makes that pretty much arbitrary air percentage actually important. The air percentage goes down so slow that you very seldom have to think about keeping it up. Pablo fixes that problem. Occasionally, Pablo will play a little jingle. Shortly after, his face will appear, and if your air isn't at least 75%, he's gonna start bouncing your butt like a basketball. And I really don't think you want that. The next character to talk about is Tori the Bull, and it's with this character where we begin to notice that the devs were really pulling anything out of their asses while designing these extra characters. Tori will have 2 red flags on both sides of your screen that are raised. If they ever fall, you will have to click them to make them go back up. If you don't, he's gonna make you spin on his dick like a BBC tornado. Shout out Zigbay. Up next, we've got Grizzly, or as the wiki calls him, Bjorn, but the wiki also calls him Grizzly, so I don't know what his name is. I'm not even gonna waste time, bro. He's just a close the door character, except he can attack both doors. Incredibly lackluster and boring. Next, this is Mother. Say hi. Anyways, she's somewhat interesting, just kind of annoying. She's another door character, except you will have to close the opposite door she appears at because she's blind, and that will confuse the door that's closed for being the door she's at. I'm not kidding, by the way, that's the reasoning given by the wiki. Finally, we've got Jeeb the Goat, easily being the most interesting character in the entire game. He will be in the room with you the entire night. At random, he will lift his head up and look left or right. During this time, you cannot click on the side of the screen that is in his line of sight. This would mean no dealing with that side's door or that side's Tory flag. You will have to click his head to deactivate him, but if you don't do it fast enough, he's gonna break your back like Kung Lao. And there we go. That's every additional character added in the custom night. And with that, that's all Bondi's Barnyard safety violation has to offer. Originally, I wanted to hold off even longer on making this video, since there's actually a second game being worked on called Bondi's Barnyard Roots. However, the announcement for it was made in 2023, 3 years ago, and it's still not released. However, the dev is still posting teasers for it as early as a month ago, and in all honesty, the game is looking pretty solid and much more interesting than the first, so I am excited to cover it when that comes out. Overall, Overall, I think Bondi's Barnyard is incredibly overhyped. I was expecting literal peak when I heard the way people were talking about this game, only to open it up and spend most of my Dxtr Black videos commentating because this game literally had nothing to go on during it. I think there's a lot of stuff this game could benefit from, namely cameras, so there could be some more variety in mechanics. I honestly don't think the story is terrible. I think having a bad ending forced is actually pretty interesting, and it does make the anticipation for the second game just all the more interesting. What is the most well-known Five Nights at Freddy's fan game of all time? Obviously, if you know anything about the fandom, you'd know that the answer to that question is Five Nights at Candy's, the first fan game to ever meet the quality of the official games, the first of its time. Five Nights at Candy's needs no introduction. If you're watching FNAF videos like this, you already know what it is, and you probably remember various YouTubers playing it, and remember how amazing it truly was. But was it really? Today, I'll be taking a deep dive into the world of Five Nights at Candy's, Five Nights at Freddy's most mediocre fan game. Five Nights at Candy's 1. Where it began, where it started. It would be unfair to talk about the original since a much better remake has been made for it now, Five Nights at Candy's Remastered, so I'll be talking about that version when talking about the first game in the series for this video. For the first game in the series, this game actually has a bunch of characters, something that most first FNAF games don't have, starting off with a large 7 different animatronics for you to deal with. But let me tell you, this will not lead to any meaningful challenge throughout the game. Might as well mute the fucking thing and put on a movie while you're playing because this game is piss easy. Easy game doesn't equal bad game, Dxtr, I hear you saying, and I agree. There are plenty of very easy games that are very fun and good. However, the thing about those other easy games is that they're also fun and entertaining. Five Nights at Candy's is not fun or entertaining. There are multiple mechanics implemented into this game that are actually useless, and I'll get into those in a bit. But first, we should talk about Night 1. Night 1 introduces 3 characters. Excuse me? 3. 3 characters on the first night of the game. Well, this just sounds like a fucking nightmare, doesn't it? Well, don't fret. You actually have nothing to worry about because, as I said earlier, this game is easier than a pick-me-girl. The animatronics active on this night are Candy, Cindy, and Chester. Let's cover Candy first since he's the main character. Who would have thought? Candy loves to twerk. That's not important. Just thought I'd tell you about my headcanon. Hey, Candy! Boing! 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 Okay, sorry. Anyways, Candy can attack either of your 2 doors, which you may think would make him a challenge, having to strategically watch the cameras to see which direction he'll go in. Because something you'll notice about your office is that the doors have no lights. Well, guess what? That doesn't matter because Candy's eyes glow in the doorway when he appears there, so you never have to check your camera. Just watch the door for the 2 white dots to appear and then close it. Well, if it's not hard to track him, does he waste a lot of power to make the night more stressful? No, not at all. He and all the other animatronics actually leave your door incredibly quickly, so you will barely waste any power keeping them out. Speaking of power, how does it work? Well, something interesting about the doors is that instead of draining a constant amount of power like most FNAF games, the doors in this game will exponentially drain power, meaning that the longer they're closed, the faster they drain power. You can tell how fast the doors will drain power by the meter directly next to the button. That sounds fun, right? Having to manage your door power to make sure it doesn't stay high for too long? No. I just told you the animatronics leave super quickly, but on top of that, when you open the door, the meter empties almost immediately, so there is no challenge whatsoever. Okay, so the main character isn't tough to deal with. Maybe the other ones will compensate. Tell me about Cindy, Dxtr. I want to examine her hip dips. First of all, back up, Buster. She's mine. Second of all, she's actually even easier than Candy is, if you could believe it. She works in the exact same way, except she only attacks the right door. Her eyes will also glow in the doorway, so again, there is still no need to ever look at the cameras yet. Are you keeping up? Let's see how long it takes before we're forced to look at the cameras together. This will be fun. What about Chester? He's got an interesting character design. How does he work? Well, you're actually right, I can't lie. Chester starts behind a curtain similar to Foxy, except the difference is that I actually can lie. All he does is go to your right door. Oh, and his eyes glow, so no. Still no reason to ever look at the camera in a million years. Okay, this game sounds really underwhelming, Dxtr, but hey, you said there were 7 characters, right? Who appears in Night 2? Wonderful question. Night 2 introduces the Penguin, but unfortunately that's a really boring and shitty name, so I'll be calling him Petey because fuck you. Petey actually does something different this time, and no, I'm really not lying this time. Petey will enter your office and hide under your desk. He himself doesn't actually kill you, but he will randomly open and close your doors, which can prove to be frustrating if he opens a door at the wrong time and you don't notice. Stop closing my shit, Petey. Stop closing my shit, Petey. Not cool, Petey. Petey, stop it! Oh, Petey, you're such a little dirty slut. He's also just adorable. I mean, look at him. He's precious. Oh, also there's one key detail about him I left out, and that's that when he gets to your door, his eyes glow, so you can easily keep him out of your office. So you know, I still don't ever have a reason to look at the cameras. Dxtr, this is draining. When is this game going to get interesting? Well, that's funny you should ask that because the answer is fucking never. Night 3 introduces Blank, the most interesting character out of the entire game. And let me tell you, he's really not that interesting. Blank acts as this game's Foxy. I know I blue-balled you earlier, making you think that would be Chester's role, but Chester is really just worthless. Blank, on the other hand, is still worthless, just slightly less so. Blank appears on a camera I can't be fucked to double-check the name of. He has multiple phases he moves through before jumping to camera 5. Once in camera 5, if you look at him, you'll see him swing his fist towards the camera, which is actually the glass window directly in front of you. If you don't close the window in time, he'll break the glass and then break your back from behind. Well, hey, look at that. Finally a reason to look at the cameras, right? Took the game long enough. Wrong, fucking idiot. Let me teach you how to properly play this game. Cameras are for bitches. You're not a bitch, are you? No. You watch Dxtr White, and my second channel, Dxtr Black, and my third channel, Dxtr Blue, right? You're subscribed. You better be subscribed, you dirty piece of shit. I know you're not fucking subscribed. You better do it right now before I leak those Discord messages with that girl that said she was 13. Yeah, that's right, you fucking freak. I saw them. I'll let the whole fucking world know unless you subscribe right now. Did you subscribe? Okay. Good. Officer! Here he is! The sick bastard is right here! Gun his ass down! Taser, taser, taser! Firing squad, now! Go! Send in the fucking Moab! Another Moab! Okay, now that we got that sick fuck out of here, no, you still don't have to use the cameras, and it all has to do with your doors. Remember how I explained the exponential power usage? Yeah, we're about to break that mechanic. Here's all you have to do to beat every main night in this game. The night starts, close all 3 doors. Whenever a door reaches stage 3, open it, wait for it to empty, and reclose it. That's it. Repeat this process throughout the whole night, and congrats, the game is over. Wrap it up and go home, bro, you did it. You still might be wondering how that deals with Blank. Well, that's easy. It only takes the door about 1.5 seconds to go back to empty. So while yes, technically speaking, Blank could break through your window in that 1.5-second time frame, but the chances of that actually happening are pretty much slim to none. But let's imagine that this isn't an absolutely game-breaking strategy and move on to Night 4, which introduces Old Candy, this game's poor attempt to make the game difficult. Old Candy works the same as every other normal character in this game. He moves to your left door and then attacks if the door isn't closed. But the big difference he has from the other character is that his eyes don't glow in the doorway. Usually, this is where I'd praise the game for finally doing something right. But the door strategy we've established earlier really destroys all hope this game had of redeeming itself. While yes, alone this would usually cause Old Candy to be another reason to check the cameras along with Blank, since you don't have to, it literally doesn't even matter. Night 5. Anything cool? Literally no. It's just a harder version of Night 4. But how about Night 6? Is that any better? Kind of, I guess. Night 6 adds the Rat.
Oh, shit! A rat!
Who does literally the exact same thing that Old Candy does. That being, you're unable to see his eyes in the door. Oh, and he can attack both doors like Candy. Mazel tov. It doesn't matter though. Again, because of the keep the doors closed the whole time strategy, this will make it feel like he never was there to begin with. In fact, would you believe me if I told you, even me, yes, Dxtr, The guy who is so criminally bad at FNAF games he is often incapable of beating the 6th night of fan games completed 720 mode on his first attempt while Petey was in the office at the same time. Would you believe me? If you said no, even after hearing about the broken strategy I talked about earlier, then I'm incredibly hurt that you would think I'm that fucking bad at video games. But yes, I did in fact beat 720 mode on my first attempt while Petey was in the office for a majority of the run. What are you gonna do about it? Wow, Dxtr, this game is actually pretty fucking bad. I have no idea why I've been glazing it for as many years as I have been. Well, relax. You're right. But the remastered version of Five Nights at Candy's does actually add a secret night that I think is pretty cool. And guess what? You actually have to use your camera to beat it. Let's talk about it. If you go to the extras menu and stare at the rat for long enough, a code will appear on screen. If you input that code into the custom night menu, you will unlock a hidden night null. A final boss fight night against Shadow Candy. How does it play? Well, once you understand how he works, it's not a very difficult night, but I still think it's cool. To start the night, you need to look at Shadow Candy and the cameras who appears on a camera that, once again, I can't be fucked to double check the name of. So editor, put the camera number on screen for me. There. That camera. Once you look at him, the night will begin. His movement pattern is unpredictable, but not too difficult to understand. He will try to get to your office like any other animatronic, but he can attack either of your doors and your window. If he gets to your office, you don't lose immediately. He'll jump scare you, yes, but instead of killing you, it will make you lose a decent chunk of power and cause the time to stop moving. In order to get the time to begin moving again, you have to look at the cameras and find an origami cat and click it. It will then return back to your desk, and then the time will resume as normal. So, we want to prevent Candy from getting into our office. How do we do that? If you're shitty at doing your job and Shadow Candy gets to your door, you're not immediately fucked. When he attacks, he will play a very quick animation in whatever doorway he's attacking from. In that small time frame, you will be able to close the door. You will still lose a decent chunk of power from this, but it won't be as much as if he jump scared you. Okay, so we want to prevent Shadow Candy from getting to the door, period. How do we do that? This part is pretty easy, but you need to be quick and accurate with your mouse. I've realized I haven't yet explained how the cameras worked yet, but that's because you haven't ever had to use them up until this point, so I'll explain them real quick. They have a flashlight like FNAF 2. That's it. There's nothing else special about them. However, this does lead into how Shadow Candy works. When Shadow Candy leaves insert camera number on screen editor, you will have a limited amount of time to find him on your cameras before he reaches your office. You will have to quickly check each camera to try and find him, and when you do, all you have to do is stare at him and he'll return to insert camera number on screen editor. However, there's still one super cool thing about Shadow Candy. Every time he moves, he will only be visible on either the cameras that are off or the cameras that are on. Meaning if your camera lights are on after he moves, there is a chance you won't be able to see him on any camera, and you'll have to switch your camera lights off and quickly recheck every camera to see where he is. So you do have to be very fast, which I actually think is pretty cool for a secret boss fight night like this. Again, it's not a very hard night once you know what you're doing, but I do want to give this game a little bit of praise since I've been shitting all over it so far. Before we move on to the next game, there's one small detail in this game that I really want to talk about, and that's the two other secret endings. If you go into the custom night menu and set everyone to 0 except Petey, setting him to 20 and begin the night, if you close all the doors and have the power run out, you'll get a secret ending with text on your screen stating that all you have to do is wait now, since there's nothing in the building that can kill you. If you instead let Petey into your office and then lose to power outage, it will additionally add that you're alone with a penguin. Literally so unimportant, but I love little details like this in games, so I had to mention it. Oh wait, I should probably talk about this game's fucked story, shouldn't I? Well, after each night, we get a cutscene. After night 1, we load onto camera footage of a conveyor belt that's empty. Turning to the left, we see a weird, sad version of the marionette, who we later learn has the name Vinny. As you look away from him, he does a backflip onto your dick and rides it like a bike. Night 2's cutscene begins with us being unable to see anything, only hearing people screaming. Afterwards, the camera cuts to show some endoskeletons covered in blood. Night 3 shows the conveyor belt under investigation, with the puppet fucker tweaking out and busting it down, looking at me up and down, trying to magic mic me. Night 4 shows Candy and Cindy on the conveyor belt, new and cleaned. Looking to the left shows the pussy pointing at them, and looking back, we see both of them are gawking at me. Eyes off the prize, guys. I know, my pecker is massive, but you don't get to have it. Night 5 shows Blank and Old Candy on the conveyor belt. Mary Nut comes up behind them, looks at us and tells us it was a mistake and a problem. Ooh, spooky. I almost shit my pants. Night 6 shows what happens right before Night 5, originally also having the rat on the conveyor belt. It gets up and walks away, which would lead me to believe that the rat might be one of the first animatronics capable of moving on its own. Or maybe I'm just bugging and trying to seem interested in a story I'm not at all interested in right now. I promise the third game tells the story way better than this garbage, so stick around. Also subscribe, because you love me, don't you? Please say you do. And finally, Night Null shows a teaser for Five Nights at Candy's 4, which by the way I believe is never coming out. Now, it hasn't been confirmed that it's canceled by the way, but we haven't heard anything about it from the creator for over 2 years, so I think it's pretty safe to say that it's dead, but who knows. And that's all Five Nights at Candy's Remastered has to offer. Overall, a very mediocre game, but I bet you'd be able to guess that's how I felt about it by the title of the video. Now, time to move on to Five Nights at Candy's 2, right? Thankfully, no. That is by far the weakest and worst game in the series, even having the creator Emil Mako agree that it's not good at all. The reason I'm not covering it here, in the video all about the Five Nights at Candy series, is because I dedicated an entire video on this channel to shitting all over that game. I recommend if you haven't seen it to go watch it now and then come back to hear me talk about the third game, which is what we will be doing next. Alright, Five Nights at Candy's 3 time! Hooray, hooray! Undoubtedly the best game in the main series. Let's figure out why. It opens to a cutscene of Vinny facing away from the camera, talking about how he knows we remember something, and that whatever it is was all our fault. We will soon learn it was in fact not our fault, but before we can dive into that, we should talk about the gameplay. Yay! My favorite part about writing these videos, and for once that isn't ironic. Starting the game, before Night 1 begins, we get another cutscene. Presumably, our character is talking to a counselor or a psychologist, or something of the nature of that profession. In this game, we play as a child, and the office is replaced with a bedroom reminiscent of Five Nights at Freddy's 4. This game takes a pretty similar approach to Five Nights at Freddy's 4 as well in terms of what is actually happening. It seems that what we experience is a dream, or I guess a nightmare would make more sense, which is very commonly believed to be what is happening in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 as well. We see that we drew a picture of our nightmares, that being the rat and the cat. We're then thrown into Night 1, and I can do a gameplay breakdown. What can I say? This is my favorite part. Just kidding, we have some more bullshit before we can actually get into the night section of the game. We're tossed into an 8-bit minigame section, and before each night we will come back to this place. In it, we'll be able to explore the dreamscape, find secrets about the lore, and talk to the origami cat that we saw in Night Null from the remastered first game. As the night progresses, more things will be added to the dreamscape, but I'll explain that as we go. On the first night, all that's in our bedroom area of the dreamscape is the origami cat and our bed. The cat explains an important night mechanic, our tape player. I'll explain what that does when we actually get into the night. I mentioned that we can explore here, so what can we find, and what significance does it have? Well, let's explain how the dreamscape actually works first. You'll be able to see a clear path laid out, with nothing but darkness surrounding it. This darkness is not walls, as you can walk here, but if you walk too far from the path, you'll get jumped and butt-banged by the rat. So just stay on the path unless you know what you're doing. On Night 1, following the path, we find a toy car that we can talk to. He really says nothing of significance. We also find newspaper clippings talking about the new animatronics that Candice has designed. Wow, I'm so excited! I hate talking about lore. If you're new to the channel, I don't like talking about lore because I'm really bad at it, but I try my best. We find a rock with engravings on it that says we shouldn't be scared of stepping off the path a little bit. Checking the back of the rock, it tells us to go south. Doing so leads us to another newspaper clipping, reading about a place called Rat and Cat's Theater, which will become very important to the story later. The puppet animatronic supposedly started moving on its own and attacked a child. The guy who was supposed to be remote controlling it got arrested because nobody believed him when he said it moved by itself. Typical. Never believe the wagee, right? Fuck them. They said that they don't have any organic pasta sauce in the back. They must be lying. Now I have to make a scene until the manager of the building comes to my rescue and tells me the exact same thing the wagee just told me. Anyways, here we can find our tape player and an arcade game. Oh boy, arcade games. I don't know about you guys, but I personally hate the arcade games in any FNAF game. Maybe I'm just a hater, but I've never been a fan. Anyways, now we can actually move on to my favorite part of the video. Game mechanic breakdown, the part I'm actually good at. This game plays very basic in nature, and honestly isn't all that hard, but I do think it's the most enjoyable gameplay out of the whole series. Before we talk about the characters, I want to talk about the tape player that we picked up earlier. Located behind us, we can access this tape player, and if you play the music, the night will progress faster. So there's seriously no reason not to play it. The only downside is that it makes noise, and listening in this game is kind of important. After a bit of time, the tape player will stop, and you'll have to rewind it in order to play it again. Now, to talk about the only threat active on night 1, the rat. Just like Candy's 1, there are 3 entry points the animatronics can attack from, 2 doors and a closet. The rat will occasionally appear at any of these 3 areas, and you'll know he's there based off of sound cues and opening your fucking eyes and looking. If you catch him fast enough, he'll hide again, very similar to Bonnie and Chica from Five Nights at Freddy's 4. If, however, you don't flash him with your light quick enough, he will enter his attack phase, wherein he'll jump in front of you, waving his dick in your face. During his attack phase, all you have to do is keep your flashlight on his face. He'll move his head out of the way to try to avoid the light. After successfully defending yourself, the attack still isn't over, as the rat will jump under your bed. At this time, you must check under your bed to see which side he's on. Once you figure it out, you must come back up and look in the opposite direction of where he was to lure him out from under the bed. Here is where you have to listen very closely to be able to hear him coming up from under the bed. Look too early, and you're cooked. Look too late, and you're also cooked. Once you hear the sound cue, quickly turn and flash your light at his face once more, and he'll finally leave your room, ending the attack phase. This is honestly pretty damn cool, I can't even lie. I think it's interesting how he doesn't give up on his pursuit so easily and continues to try different means of attacking you. Again, the rat is the only threat on this night, so completing it isn't all too hard. After completing the night, we get a post-night minigame. Yay, more lore. I'm so excited. Each of these minigames plays the same on each night, with small differences here and there. In these games, we play as our character inside of the Rat and Cat Theater. Walking around, we can talk to our dad and eventually find the rat, who at the time wasn't an animatronic, but was instead just a big mascot costume that an actual human would be inside of. He asks to play hide and seek, and it's our job to hide. Spoiler alert, you will always be found. When he finds you, the minigame ends and we head back to Dreamscape. Night 2 Dreamscape adds a drawer with a lamp to our bedroom. Heading into the darkness, we find another rock, and on the back, it reads to go east. Going east, we find a newspaper clipping reading that Rat and Cat Theater will be reopening. We find another rock, tells us to go north, and we do find another path. Following it, we find a newspaper clipping reading that the animatronics at Rat and Cats will be safely controlled by experts. Judging by what we read in a previous clipping, I have a funny feeling they're not going to listen. But you know what? I'm sure it's totally fine. Traveling off the path again, we find a toy horse that says a whole lot of fucking nothing. Keep traveling around and we find another arcade game and can finally go back into the meat and potatoes of this game. All right, night 2. Anything new? No. It's the same as night 1, but the rat is more aggressive. Yay. Now I get to talk about more lore. I'm not excited. I'm so sorry you have to hear me talk about this. The post-night 2 minigame has us play hide and seek with the cat this time. Spoiler alert, you still can't win. Get found and we go back to the Dreamscape. This is going to be majorly what I talk about in the section of the video until something new is introduced, by the way, so I truly apologize for that. Dreamscape Night 3 actually introduces something new, Nightmare Cat. Not only will he be active in the nights now, but in the Dreamscape as well. His purpose in the Dreamscape is to give you a time limit for how long you can be in the darkness. However, it's a very generous amount of time, so I highly doubt it'll be a huge problem. We find a rock with engravings telling us to go east. You know how this goes by now. We find a newspaper clipping explaining that the building has arcade machines. Oh, riveting lore. Thanks for telling me, asshole. Find another newspaper clipping that literally just says adults can talk and drink coffee. What the fuck am I playing right now, guys? Is this story actually good? Why do I give a fuck about such minor details like this, bro? Oh hey, another newspaper clipping. I wonder if it says anything of substance. It doesn't. It says kids can have fun. Wow, my jaw is agape right now. We find a worthless toy duck and an arcade game 3 part 1, and finally can continue on to the next night, where I actually have 2 mechanics to talk about. This night, as I mentioned earlier, introduces the cat. His mechanic is very simple, but can prove to be an annoyance if timed improperly with the rat. The cat will at random appear on the left or right side of your bed. You'll be able to hear it breathing. When you do, all you have to do is turn towards it and hold your light on it until it hides away. Easy. The only time this becomes a problem is if he attacks you while you're dealing with the rat. Since the rat's attack is so long, there's a decent chance that cat and rat could Eiffel Tower you, which I can guarantee there is Rule 34 of, but I don't have the bravery to look for it myself. The other new mechanic is knocking. This is both a blessing and a curse. When the rat appears at one of your doors, there's a chance he can knock. It's a very loud knock, so you should always hear it. However, the rat will always try to trick you by knocking at a door he's not actually at. The knock will be directional, so if you hear a knock on your left side, you know that the rat is either at your right door or your closet, which can actually really help narrow it down on later nights when you have to be quick. Nothing else really to talk about here, so let's move on to the next stupid fuck-ass lore dump. In this minigame, we see a man dressed as the puppet. He says that usually Vinny is with him, which leads me to believe that Vinny is probably the robot puppet that attacked the child. Moving on, we talk to the rat, play an unwinnable game of hide and seek again, and it's back to the dreamscape. A lot of people glaze this game for having a good story, and I'll admit that from what I understand, it's pretty cool, but holy shit, the way it tells its story is so goddamn cock-sucking boring, bro. I don't want to play hide and seek for the millionth time, dude. Seriously, please, do something different. I'm dying. In the dreamscape, we find a newspaper clipping reading about a new horror movie, and saying the actor did a really good job playing a psychopath. Gonna take a wild guess, that's probably because the actor is a psychopath. Why the fuck am I reading about this? I need someone to explain to me in the comments because I'm stumped. We find part 2 of the third arcade game, a stupid fucking toy robot, and a note written by who I'm guessing is the guy who was dressed as the puppet. He says that the theater was never meant for him and that he always wanted to be an actor. Now, I'm going to guess that this guy is also the actor who played the psycho we read about earlier. Anyways, who gives a fuck? Next nighttime! Is there anything new? No, it's just harder. Let's talk about the minigame. Wanna guess what we do? That's right. Play hide and seek with the cat and fucking lose because we're garbage. Dreamscape time! Boy, this game is really short when you break it down, huh? A lot of filler bullshit when you stop and think about it. In the dreamscape, we find a note mentioning a brutal accident between 2 theater co-workers, but it doesn't go into detail. Another newspaper clipping we find later explains a bit more. Both actors were found dead, one from asphyxiation and the other from cracking their neck on the edge of a table. It seems that one choked the other, killing them, and then passed out from the adrenaline and died against the table. That seems a bit coincidental, doesn't it? And we did just learn there was an implication that someone else was a psychopath. Something fishy is going on here. Finally, we find a toy teapot and part 3 of the third arcade game and can go to my favorite part. Just kidding, nothing new is added. It's just harder again, so I have nothing fun to talk about. Minigame time! I'm losing my fucking mind! Finally, in this minigame, something different happens. This time, we played hide and seek with the cat, except the cat is going to try to find a fuck ton of kids like Jared Fogle. This time, however, we go to hide in a different spot than previously, inside of one of the employee-only rooms. Inside, we find Vinny, the controllable puppet, and we hide inside a locker. The rat quickly follows behind us, and human Vinny comes in to scold the rat's actor for being drunk around the kids. Rather than just explain this to you, I'd rather just show you what happens. Do you have any idea what would happen if any of the parents found out that one of our actors is drunk? Think of our careers. Think of the children. What about the children? They love me. I'm the most popular character in this freaking show. Don't be jealous that I've got talent and you don't. You have no idea what you're talking about. Take off that costume, you're going home. No, I'm gonna go back out there and keep this damn show alive. No, you're not. Take it off now. Oh shit. Cut it out. Oh, dick. Toy Chica, do that to me for real, please. My Toy Chica. You know what I mean. Let me go, bitch. Damn, please. Please. Oh shit, he's dead. Hey. Hey. Are you okay? Come on, man, this isn't funny. Oh no. No, no, no. With all the... What happened? Lock the door. I didn't mean to. It was an accident. I swear he just... You have to call an ambulance and the police. You have to tell them what happened. No, wait. Was always a bit unstable. He'd been drinking. We found him like this. Yes. That's what we have to tell them. We found him dead in here. Listen, it was an accident, an honest mistake. We have to tell them what really happened. But I can't. Oh shit! What are you doing? I can't. That's right. The two co-workers weren't fighting each other. Instead, they were both murdered. And we were inside the closet, able to hear and witness the entire thing go down. At the time, Human Vinny had no idea we were there, and he thought he could just dust his hands and have the whole thing blow over to be an accident, moving on to become the movie star he'd always wanted to be. But now that we've been talking with our counselor, we remember, and with the truth coming out, Vinny was held responsible. And let me tell you, this motherfucker is not happy one bit. This is why he was saying it was our fault at the beginning, which, bullshit, by the way, it's your fault. You killed them, you retard. Going into night 6, we talk to Vinny once more. He explains again it's our fault and that he will personally make sure that we never sleep again. Night 6 consists of only Nightmare Vinny. And let me tell you, this night is no walk in the park. Vinny works the exact same as the rat, except he's more aggressive, and his attack phase is much more brutal. When he attacks, instead of moving his head, it will rotate in a circle, making following his head incredibly more difficult. The window for flashing him is also much smaller, and the amount of time you can spend not flashing him is microscopic, like your penis, bitch. This night is fucking hard. I know there are challenges in this game that make it harder, and I know there's a more difficult version of this game called FNAF But Better that makes it even harder, but fuck you. This night is a pain in the dick. I naturally have very shaky hands, and that prevents me from being able to complete it without pouring hours and hours of work into it, but I urge you to play through this game for yourself if you don't believe me how hard it is. Keeping your mouse on this fucker is ass. Very ass. Big ol' jiggly dick ass. Do you like nuts in your mouth? Do ya? Because you're gonna have a lot of nuts in your mouth while you're getting teabagged by this asshole. He's gonna be dragging your nuts across your forehead, and you're going to be begging for his Jeeb juice because you're a dirty little piglet. Oh please, mix it with orange Fanta. Chris Chan, fuck out, boy. Anyways, after beating the night, we get one last minigame. We step out of the locker, walk past the bodies, and out of the building where we're greeted by the police who didn't even know we were in there, and reuniting with our dad. Really, the only other thing to talk about is the arcade games we've been collecting in Dreamscape. Fishing with Candy, Cindy's Garden, and Candy's Adventure. Fishing with Candy has us catch fish. Wow, I bet you couldn't have figured that out. Occasionally, Petey will appear to take one of your fish like the dirty little slut that he is. If you reach a score of 9,999, you will enter a secret minigame. In this game, you play as a parent walking around the Candy's building, eventually stumbling upon a crowd of kids watching Vinny. The kids disappear and Vinny's smile turns into a frown. Afterwards, the game ends. Cindy's Garden has us whack moles. Reaching a score of 9,999 will send us to another minigame, this time playing as the cat. We have to catch 2 kids and put them on a conveyor belt, turning them into Candy and Cindy. So, yeah, that's pretty fucked. We just put 2 live children through a machine that compacted them inside of a metal suit. That's like super fucked up. And I don't think I needed to tell you how fucked up that is, yet here I am telling you that. Finally, we have Candy's Adventure, and fuck is this a long one. It's normal for 90% of it, just being a Mario-style platformer where you have to avoid some enemies, solve some puzzles, and collect some power-ups. I will add that this minigame is pretty damn hard, however. At the end, there's a boss fight against a big dog, and once you beat him, you can glitch the game and enter another secret minigame. In this minigame, we play as the rat. We have to walk through the original Candy's restaurant, avoiding the gaze of the other animatronics, and eventually get to the office where we attack the night guard and helicopter our dick in front of him to make him jealous. And with that, I'm pretty certain that is all Five Nights at Candy's 3 has to offer. Please let me know if I missed anything in the comments. That's also where this video wraps up. Overall, I do think the entire Candy's experience is fairly enjoyable as long as you don't count the second game, because that game is actually the most boring shit of all time. Like, holy shit, I hate it so much. I do think the hype around the lore is deserved, since it actually tells a very disturbing and interesting story. However, I do not think that the gameplay matches the lore enough for me to say this game is anything better than mediocre. With the first two games being way too easy, and the third game barely having anything to it in the night sections, and having the lore be told through a very boring and repetitive cutscene, I can't say this series is anything incredible. Yes, it is one of the first FNAF fan games ever made, and that has to go into consideration, but I'm not going to review a game differently based on the time it was released. This game could have been much better if the gameplay and story were just balanced better, and I don't feel like they are. Infamous FNAF fan games. I'm sure just saying that has already caused a few games to pop into mind. One Night at Flumpty's, Five Nights at Candy's, The Joy of Creation, Those Nights at Rachel's, and for some, another franchise comes to mind. One whose name is incredibly ironic, a game whose name is an emotion that everyone wishes to have, although the game causes nothing but the opposite. A game I truly cannot fathom the popularity of. Rest assured, the FNAF fan game series we're covering today is bad. Very, very bad. Join me today as I dive into Jolly, the FNAF fan game series that broke me. Strap in, because this is the longest video I have ever made. Opening into the first cutscene, we're greeted by the newspaper, reading that restaurants have been closing everywhere due to the new Circus Baby's Pizza World. Tying this game into the official FNAF lore, the owner of Jolly Entertainment claims he will be competing with Circus Babies. And let me tell you, this fuck-ass restaurant doesn't stand a goddamn chance. Anyways, moving on to gameplay. Jolly seemed to think it'd be an amazing idea to take all of the good mechanics from Five Nights at Freddy's and say, yeah, I could make this worse. To start, we have a large window and one door. You'll notice that each are powered by a typical light switch, which is probably one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. On top of our cameras, we have a maintenance panel which gives us access to our generator. Basically, we have 100% power, like normal, and the generator has 150% power. So if our power gets low, we can use the generator's power to charge our power through this maintenance panel. This mechanic seems a little useless to me, honestly. Why not just give us more power or make our power last longer? Maybe just to give us another thing to distract us? I'm not totally sure. Your camera system is pretty bare bones. Jolly was made a long time ago. It's in the realm of series like Five Nights at Candy's in terms of age, so to an extent, I can forgive this game for being so dated. But rest assured, that doesn't mean I'm going to hold back on ripping it to shreds. Anyways, the cameras. I will give this game credit where it's due. The camera system actually has something I think is pretty cool. This game has 2 floors in the restaurant, with an elevator used to move from floor to floor. I'm not seeing any sight of stairs either, which I'm pretty sure is an OSHA violation just waiting to happen. You can see the camera of this elevator, and on it you can actually cause the elevator to change floors. Meaning that, if an animatronic rides the elevator up to your floor, you can quickly send the elevator back down, causing them to need to use another movement opportunity to move it back up. But don't get too excited about this mechanic, as it is completely obsolete when I start talking about how stupidly fucking hard this game is for no reason whatsoever. So let's talk about Night 1, which starts off strong by introducing 2 characters, Tweety and George. Tweety uses the elevator to get to your office. If you watch my full playthrough on my second channel, Dxtr Black, you'll be able to see me get plenty of enjoyment sending her stupid ass back downstairs every time she tried to come up to my floor. Oh, she didn't like that. She didn't like that I switched the elevator at all. Once she arrives at your office, you'll be able to see her in your window. Now pause. I want you to take a long look at this office. Notice how the window is literally nowhere near the fucking door? Yeah? So let me ask you, if you saw an animatronic in this window, would you ever, in a million years, think you need to close the door right when you see them? No? Well, you see, that's exactly what I thought too. But guess what, retard? You're completely wrong. For some reason, God knows why, the developer decided that this window was going to act like the windows from Five Nights at Freddy's 1, except neglecting the fact that the only reason the windows from FNAF 1 worked was because the window was directly next to the door, so it felt like there was no time before the character would arrive in your office. This game, that doesn't work, because you've placed the door a whole fucking football field in distance away from the window, so I'd have zero reason to think the animatronic currently staring at me would blow out my butthole like a Nachos Bel Grande. This is dumb, this is bad, really fucking bad. But whatever, really, once you eventually figure out that's how this mechanic works, it should be pretty simple, right? Just close the door and wait for them to go away. Well, yes, exactly. Close the door and wait approximately, I don't know, 400 years. Because the rate at which these stupid robots move away from your door is pretty much zero. It'd probably be faster to just sit in one spot and wait to die, honestly. But whatever, eventually they'll leave and then you're free to open your door. Except, psych moron, since this one took so long to leave, another robot is at your window again! Yay! And who's at your window? Well, probably George. George? How'd you get here? George moves through your camera vents. You'll notice on the vent cams that you'll be able to seal the vent to prevent the animatronics from moving through them. But those probably don't work as you'd expect them to. Let's migrate for a second and talk about Five Nights at Freddy's 3. In that game, when Springtrap enters your vent, you can seal it off, which in that instance, Springtrap's neurons start firing and send a message to the body saying, hey, let's get out of this vent. Clearly, we're unable to continue moving forward. Not in Jolly. There are no neurons to fire in these robots' heads. In their mind, they're just thinking, vent was open minute ago. Why no vent open now? I wait until vent open again, then I continue move. Yeah, that's right. The animatronics will never leave the vents after you seal them, so sealing them really acts more like a stalling system, except closing the vents drains your power, and because of that, it makes closing your vents literally fucking pointless. So basically, if you haven't been paying attention thus far, George crawls through your vents no matter what you do and eats your balls like a sirloin steak. Fantastic. It wouldn't be a FNAF game without a music box like mechanic, now would it? Of course not. And rest assured, this game has one too, using a character by the name of Antoinette. Antoinette appears on camera 11 tied up in some wires. You'll see a graphic on this camera referencing 4 wires holding Antoinette in place. Every once in a while, one of these wires holding him back will break and you'll have to repair it, which takes around, 900 decades. If all of the wires break, he'll eat your butt. You'll realize, especially on later nights, that a wire is broken on this guy pretty much constantly, so you'll barely have any time to peel your eyes away from the cameras to work on other things. But realistically, I personally had no problems dealing with Antoinette throughout my playthrough, which by the way, you can check out on my second channel, Dxtr Black. That's 2 plugs and we're just getting started. This is a long video, so sit your ass down. It also wouldn't be a game I fucking hate without post-night minigames that serve no purpose other than to be annoying. So let's talk about them. The post-night 1 minigame has you play as Jolly. All you have to do is walk into parts and service where you watch Antoinette go on an elevator and the minigame ends. That's it. Wasn't that just awful? Well, get ready because they're only going to get worse from here. Night 2. What new ass does this bring out? Well, do you remember George? The guy I talked about like 2 minutes ago? Well, Night 2 brings on Maxie. Why did I bring up George? Well, because Maxie is literally just George. She moves into the vent, then to your window. The only difference? Maxie is more aggressive than George is. and George is already pretty damn aggressive, so hearing that was amazing news for me. You know, I think I'd rather grind my ass on a cheese grater than worry about this stupid game that I hate so much. Night 2 post-night minigame time! In this minigame, we play as Jolly again. You, once again, walk into the parts and service room and see Antoinette tied up in wires. At the bottom of the screen, text appears stating, "It's okay." After that, you walk out of the room and you're attacked by an employee and the minigame ends. Riveting gameplay, what can I say? Night 3 brings on the big boy himself, Jolly. And I mean big boy. This dude is round as fuck. You push this guy over and his ass is gonna roll for a long time. He is incredibly boring, much like this entire game. He goes to the elevator and then to your window. He's literally just Tweety, but less aggressive, and seems to sit at your door for about 4 times as long, which is great because Tweety already sits there for ages. Something interesting about Jolly though, if you don't close the door in time, instead of killing you, he'll stand in your doorway looking at you, blocking you from closing the door using his astronomically sized belly. This motherfucker uses the asteroid belt to keep his pants up. Fat piece of shit robot. Night 3's post-night minigame. Is it fun? No. In this one, you play as Jolly. Surprise, surprise. A bunch of kids are standing around, so we quickly vacate the area because the only thing that scares me more than women are children. I hate children. We have to go to the kitchen. Inside, we see the employee from the last minigame who fucked our shit up. Except this time, he just fucks our shit up again. Aren't you getting so much lore and useful information from these minigames? What? You're not? Well, I can't say I'm surprised because these minigames are more useless than a white crayon. Nights 4 and 5 literally add nothing new to the central gameplay loop, so let's just talk about their post-night minigames. Night 4's minigame has you play as Tweety. Just kidding, you play as Jolly. You once again have to go to the kitchen. This time, the employee is preparing a meal. Once you move to the party room where you started, you get your shit rocked by the employee. Why? I have no idea. I guess this guy just hates us. Why he doesn't just destroy us is beyond me if we're causing him this much grief. Night 5's post-night minigame is actually a bit different. We play in the perspective of Jolly, seemingly dismantled in the kitchen. After looking around and being useless for a bit, text appears at the top of the screen that states, "Look at what you've done." And the minigame comes to an end. Something different, finally. Took long enough. But what does this tell us? Well, a whole lot of nothing, really. There's clearly a story being told somewhere here, but I can't for the life of me figure out what it is quite yet. Night 6 is nothing new, just hard as fuck. Really, the strategy in this game boils down to flash the light, wait, flash the light, wait, fix Antoinette when needed, and close the door when needed. Incredibly boring, not fun, a lot of RNG required because all the characters decide they want to forget how to walk once they reach our fucking window. But that's really all Jolly 1 has to offer. This game is incredibly fucking hard. I really didn't spend a lot of time talking about how difficult it is, but dear God, it is really unenjoyable to play. You can see my full playthrough over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. But now, let's move from a game that's way too hard to a game that's way too easy. Jolly 2. That's right, baby. Everybody give cheers for video game balancing. Hip hip. Jolly 2 takes place on a cargo ship, where the animatronics are being moved to a different location. For some reason, we're also here, guarding the cargo. From what? Pirates? I have no fucking idea. This is such an odd plot point. I actually think it's kinda cool. Too bad the rest of the game is a snooze fest though. Let's talk about it. Night 1 introduces classic George and Bonnie. That's right. For some reason, this game is mixing in its own characters with the official FNAF characters. It's like a fan fiction, but in game form. And awful. Both in your cameras and on your left and right doors, you'll find a shock button. This button can be used to shock the animatronics. Can you believe it? When you shock an animatronic, it will cause them to go into a system reboot. Who really cares what it does? It makes them piss off, so use it when it makes sense. One extra thing to note is that the shock on the cameras is less effective than the ones at your doors, so the camera shock is really used to stall animatronics from reaching your doors, since the shocks on your doors have a very long cooldown time. Want to hear something really cool? Well, the cooldown wasn't enough to keep this game interesting. So what was added to keep the game just as uninteresting and even more fucking annoying as possible was the addition of 4 leaky pipes found behind you. Every once in a while, one of these pipes will start leaking gas. When the gas is leaking, you can't use your shocks. Wanna guess why? Because the gas will cause the shock to travel to you. That literally does not make any fucking sense at all. While yes, gas can conduct electricity, given the wide space of moving electrons, the power that travels through the gas would be nowhere near powerful enough to cause any meaningful harm to us. But screw it. Whatever, sure. Let's imagine that does make sense. When one of these pipes is leaking, all you have to do is turn around and click it. That's it. Jesus Christ, you might as well have just not even bothered adding this mechanic because it can be solved in 2 seconds. Did not make this game more interesting at all. Anyways, the animatronics, how about those guys? Oh yeah, George and Bonnie. George moves around the cameras, meanders into your vents, which thankfully this time don't have a useless ceiling mechanic, and then reaches your left door. When he's there, shock that bitch. Easy. Bonnie is much the same, except he attacks your right door instead. Very boring, I don't care. Oh wait, wanna hear something super crazy, fun, and silly? You can't see the animatronics when they're at your door. Can you hear them? No! What you have to do is constantly be watching the cameras, which is something I actually think this game does really well. It forces you to watch the cameras without a stupid fucking music box mechanic. Characters never move backwards in Jolly 2, so if a character is at a corner door camera one moment and then the next they're not, that means they're at your door and you need to shock them. Don't think I'm going to start gushing over this game. This watching cameras mechanic was done well. The rest of everything else ever was not. Night 2 introduces Chica. She's actually pretty interesting, except the funny part is that I just lied, because she's actually not interesting in the slightest. All she does is travel to the middle of the map and then attack your left door like George. This is some I got the right answer but used the wrong formula animatronic.
How the fuck did you get that answer? No, it's the right answer, but you didn't use my method, you little fucking shit. I'll tell you what you've done. Essentially, you've just shit in my fucking mouth. Do you like shitting in people's mouths, you little freak?
Oh hey, I should probably mention the post-night plush trap style minigame, shouldn't I? After each night, you'll be able to play a minigame called Time to Sleep with Foxy, which, by the way, is the only time he makes an appearance in this game. Time to Sleep consists of you attempting to take a nap in the cargo ship, but Foxy thinks it would be really funny to tickle your feet and make you squeal. While you sit on your bed, your sleep meter will increase. However, you'll be able to see 2 entrances to your room where Foxy can attack. If you listen closely, you'll be able to hear him moving on either side. When you do, you'll have to go over to that door and flash your light at him. Note, when you're not on your bed, your sleep meter decreases, and Foxy is pretty damn aggressive, so have fun never making progress in your entire life. If you manage to beat the minigame in time, you get to skip the first 2 hours of the next night, and this is crucial. Not because the nights are hard, but because they're so incredibly fucking boring I'd rather put a gun in my mouth than play them ever again. Night 3 brings along Freddy. Spoiler alert, he's boring. Kind of. He at least does something a little different. Rather than attack one of your doors, he can attack either. It's still the same method of stopping him, but he can just choose to attack either door, so I guess that's progress into being interesting land. Nothing else much more to note here, pretty boring overall. I will say it's on this night that using your camera shock to stall the characters starts to become useful, so I guess that's something. Night 4 introduces the man, the myth, the literal wrecking ball of a robot, classic Jolly.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Jolly does something crazy that actually makes this game pretty fun. Psych! Moron, I fucking lied. All he does is attack your right door exactly like every other animatronic does. Somehow, the main character of the game is less interesting than one of the others, which is just crazy to me that you could even make that happen. Nights 5 and 6 are just harder versions of Night 4, with nothing changing. Oh, and also, they're still not very hard at all, so that's cool. Well, I guess all that's left to talk about are the post-night minigames. Dexter, haven't you already talked about Time to Sleep? Well, yes, I have. However, this game also added in stupid boring-ass shit 8-bit minigames just like the first game, except somehow managed to make them even more boring. Let's talk about them. Night 1's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom, where in this universe he would presumably kill them rather than in the back room like in the actual game. Why this detail is changed even though they're adding their story to the original is beyond me. Night 2's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom. Night 3's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom. Night 4's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom. Are you getting sick of this yet? Night 5's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into a bathroom. Wasn't this segment totally worth your time? No? Well, you watched it anyways. So basically, if your brain doesn't work, Afton killed the kids. Wow, shocker. I would have never been able to figure that out without your expert opinion game. Thank you. There is a true ending in this game, however. If you die on night 5, 6, or go to the extras menu and click a small jolly sprite in the corner, you'll be brought to a minigame exactly like Sister Location, where you have to strategically throw burgers into the mouths of some fat-ass kids. After that, you can collect a bonus hamburger and go to the second floor of the minigame and stand on an invisible platform. After that, jump to the right side of the screen and you'll be teleported to a new minigame. In this new minigame, you'll find a girl in a pink shirt crying like a bitch. Once she sees Jolly, she hugs him, but Afton quickly grabs her and we cut to a cutscene where we're in front of an arcade machine slowly panning out, and the game ends, giving you the true ending. What have I gathered from this? Well, in one of the post-night minigames, we see that it's Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, which I'm pretty sure has never been an event that has ever taken place at a restaurant in history. But I'm gonna take a solid guess that the girl that hugged Jolly in the final minigame was the daughter of the security guard we've been playing as. This game is really pulling at my heartstrings, guys. But that's all Jolly 2 has to offer. This game is somehow marginally worse than the first, which I think deserves a medal because after playing the first game, I didn't think that was possible. Jolly 2 is so incredibly easy that you could probably beat it blindfolded. None of the mechanics are engaging in any way, and the story in no way makes up for the gameplay shortcomings. Overall, it's a very terrible game that I don't think you should ever play in a million years. Let's move on to the final game in the series, which unfortunately for me, is broken up into 2 chapters, so it's borderline 2 more games I have to cover, and I'm not excited at all, because it's these 2 games that really began to break me. Jolly 3 Chapter 1, aka Where the Rage Begins. How do I even begin? Well, I suppose I should start at the beginning. That would probably make the most sense. The game begins with a cutscene of a car driving to a factory and our player running inside. With a zoom in on a broken Jolly animatronic, his eyes light up, letting us know he's ready to open up a can of whoop ass on us. In this game, our goal is to go into an abandoned Jolly factory and grab some artifacts, which makes it sound like this is about to be like Indiana Jones. However, while those movies are great, this game is not. Loading into this game's control room, which acts as the office, I'm immediately greeted to the shitty fucking smell of Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location. What do I mean by that? Well, open your eyes and take a look at this office. Does this not look at all slightly familiar to you? If it doesn't, then you're stupid or have never seen Sister Location before, because this office is pretty much identical to the control room from Sister Location, with 2 large windows on each side of us that can be lit up via a light button and an exit directly in front of us. In Sister Location, it was a vent. In this game, it's a giant door. Flashing our lights, on the left we can see Tweety, and on the right we can see either Maxie or George. I'm pretty sure this is Maxie, since I'm pretty sure the animatronic that sits next to Jolly on the cameras is George, but it could be the other way around. Also in the office is a big lever. Pulling it will release gas from the pipes on the ceiling. That gas fries animatronics. Oh boy, can you take a guess where this is going? That's right, this game is about to mix elements of Sister Location, which is terrible, and the stand in your office mechanic from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which is also pretty terrible. We're already set up for a great time. But I can't go any further without complaining about one of the worst things to ever come out of any game, literally ever, designed by anyone: the Click Team mouse. More specifically, the Sister Location Click Team mouse. If you've ever played Sister Location, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you've only ever seen people play this game and Sister Location, let me fill you in on the horrible experience that it is. Click Team Fusion, the engine used to create most FNAF fan games and every official FNAF game up until Ultimate Custom Night, has a few interesting quirks that almost every game that uses them suffers from. The main problem is in games like Five Nights at Freddy's games that try to fake a 3D effect by having you look back and forth. A lot of the time, especially in Sister Location, you'll be able to see weird distortions on the side of the screen, making the entire game look like it's shaped like a fucking cylinder. And because of this, the mouse has a pretty significant and horrendous issue. While you look from side to side in the office, since we're not actually in a 3D space and what we're looking at is actually just a 2D image being warped to appear 3D, you'll notice that as the mouse hits the exact center of the screen, it looks like the mouse gets locked on the X-axis, and as soon as the screen reaches the end of the 2D image, it looks like the mouse unlocks and can continue to move freely. While I say the mouse is, quote, locked, it actually really isn't. It's moving just as freely as it would when it's on the sides of the screen. But because we're faking a 3D environment in an engine that can't natively do 3D, it leads to this awkward and janky mouse movement that not only looks weird, but feels even weirder. I cannot fucking stand this mouse. I hated Sister Location for it, and I hate Jolly for it even more, because this game is already just hot dog shit ass as it is. But anyways, back to actually talking about the gameplay. Using this gas lever drains our gas. No shit. Where else were you thinking it went? In our cameras, we can open up a special menu, and in this menu, we can refill this gas supply. Where's the gas coming from? Fuck you, that's where. Also on the cameras, you'll see a fan meter. Each camera has its own fan. If the fan ever breaks, which trust me, they will be doing very frequently, your vision will begin to go dark and you will die unless you fix them. Fixing them is easy. There's actually a repair fan button right on each camera. But how do you tell which camera's fan is broken when there's an error? I'm sure you could take a pretty solid guess, and you'd probably be right. You just have to check every single fucking camera until you find the right one. And this will be incredibly annoying due to a character I'll talk about in a minute, but that character is not active on night 1. So who is? There are only 3 characters active on night 1. 3 may sound like a lot for a first night, but one of them is kind of different, so we'll cover him first. In case you have forgotten, Jolly has injected itself into the official game's lore, so all of the original FNAF animatronics are here again, just like in Jolly 2. Metal Foxy is active on night 1. Why are the FNAF characters called metal? I don't really know. Were they not metal before? I have no clue. If at any point one of your camera fans completely breaks, Foxy will appear in the darkness and kill you. That's all he does. I don't know why Jolly hates giving Foxy actual in-night mechanics, but whatever. One character I really don't ever have to worry about, and I actually never even saw because I'm just so goddamn good at gaming. Which, by the way, you can see on my second channel, Dxtr Black. Also, fuck it, while I'm shilling the Black channel, go subscribe to my third channel, Dxtr Blue, too. You've made it this far in the video, so you must be enjoying my rambling at least a little bit, and I do a bunch of that over on Dxtr Blue. Over there, I play any games that aren't Five Nights at Freddy's related, so I encourage you to go check it out. Thanks. Back to the cesspool. Another character introduced on this night is Withered Tweety. Withered Tweety is as boring as a character can get. She pisses around on the cameras and eventually jumps headfirst into your office to give you head. But pause. Think, dumbass. It's a robot. Don't have intercourse with it. It's not even a hot robot, so I don't even know why you'd want to anyways. Once she's in your office, just spray some gas on her and she'll leave. The final character introduced on this night is Withered Maxie. She does literally the exact same thing Tweety does. Meanders around the camera and eventually wanders her way into your office. Same shit, different suit, really. Spray her with some of your liquid hot ass gas and she'll run out of the room holding your nose because you smell like shit. As much as I'd love to just start talking about night 2 in order to get this shit over with as fast as possible, we unfortunately have some Sister Location level bullshit ass minigames to talk about that take place between each night. So let's talk about the first night's fuck ass minigame. The whole point of these minigames is to find these relics that we came to this building looking for. Throughout this game, we're talking to a guy named Theo over the phone, who instead of coming into the building with us to help out, decided he'd rather be a pussy bitch and just call us on the phone the whole time like a clingy girlfriend. Theo leads us into test room 1 and tells us to find a locked safe. After doing so, the security system in the room goes off, and of course, the animatronics are a part of that system. And of course, Tweety is in the room with us. Theo tries to hack the safe but can't, so he sends us a program on our phone that we can use to force the security system off and then use to crack the safe. And for some reason, this program has us play some fuck-ass minigame instead of actually being useful. The goal of this game is to pulse electricity from one door to another, and guide that electricity by using arrows. Every time you click on a square, it creates an arrow, and subsequent clicks turn that arrow 90 degrees. You get it, the idea is simple. So why am I complaining? Well, you see these 20 dots on the left side of your screen? Yeah? You have to do this fuck-ass shit 20 goddamn times. And what makes this take even longer than it already would take? Tweety. Tweety works similarly to Funtime Freddy in his minigame from Sister Location, wherein, while you're trying to play the minigame, Tweety slowly creeps towards you. Every once in a while, you'll have to drop your phone and flash your lights at her over and over again until she goes away. Want to hear the best part? She's voice acted, just like Sister Location, and she only has about 3 fucking lines. And since this minigame takes so long to complete, you can bet your ass we're going to hear each line about 30 times. Doesn't this just sound like a blast? But after you complete all 20 randomly generated puzzles, the security system shuts off and we're free to continue on to night 2. However, before I begin talking about this night, I want to make something clear about the metal animatronics. I do not know exactly what nights they will be introduced for certain. The wiki doesn't inform me, and I don't feel like surfing through hours of Jolly footage just to figure it out. I'll take a guess on the metal animatronics, but keep in mind it might be wrong. The non-official FNAF characters, I do know. Just thought I'd put that out there before we continue. Just kidding! There's still a shitty post-night 8-bit minigame to talk about first. Don't you just hate being alive? In this minigame, we play as a guy named Eric who just got a job at the Jolly restaurant. We're shown around by our boss and told specifically not to go in this room. Afterwards, we go right into that room and get threatened by our boss on the first day. Wonderful. Oh, also, if you walk out of bounds, you can find Antoinette just kind of fucked everywhere on the walls. Anyways, now we can talk about Night 2. Night 2 introduces 2 new characters, George and Metal Chica. Let's get George out of the way because he's the most boring. Can you guess how he works? If you said exactly the same as Tweety and Maxie but with a different movement pattern, then you'd be correct. Moves around the cameras, enters your office, spray him with gas, and he pisses off. Repeat. Now we can talk about the most annoying fucking character in this whole game. Earlier, I mentioned that there was a character that in combination with your broken fan problem becomes incredibly infuriating. Metal Chica is that very character. Metal Chica has a random chance to appear on a camera every time you switch cameras or open your camera. She's basically the same as Phantom Balloon Boy from Five Nights at Freddy's 3, except with one key annoying difference. When you see Phantom Balloon Boy in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, all you have to do is either close your camera or switch cameras to avoid his attack. Nope, not Metal Chica, she sucks more than your mom. When you see her on your cameras, your only option is to close the cameras. If you just switch cameras, even though she's disappeared from your sight, she will still jump scare you. This may seem like such a small thing to bitch about. Oh, Dxtr, you're just nitpicking. It's not really that bad. Fuck you. Yes, it is. I guarantee that if you've played FNAF games before, you've grown accustomed to mechanics just like this. And for some reason, this is the only one that doesn't let you just switch cameras to avoid it. So I guarantee you'll have built up some muscle memory that will lead to you just to switch cameras. But guess what, fucker? That doesn't work anymore. No, It's not hard, but do you know how annoying it is to try and break that habit of just switching cameras? It's a bitch. And of course, when there's a broken fan, you have to already quickly swap between cameras at light speed. So you'll already have your muscles set on focusing on switching cameras as fast as possible to find the broken one. Oh, were you focused on watching the repair fan button that you didn't notice Metal Chica was on one of your cameras for a fraction of a fucking second? Well, guess what? Even though you looked at her for no time at all, get jump scared, dickhead. Ivan G, fuck you for this dumbass mechanic right here. However, there is one small redeemable thing about getting jump scared by any metal animatronic that isn't Foxy, and that's that you won't lose the night, just like the Phantoms from Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Instead, your gas system will just fucking break, and you'll have to repair it on your cameras and then completely refill your gas, which on early nights isn't a big deal. But on later nights, it does become a small problem because of how frequently animatronics will be in your office drooling all over you. Alright, let's talk about the next bullshit post-night scavenger hunt for goodies. On this night, you actually have the option of picking 2 different rooms. You'll eventually have to go to the other one anyways though, so I'll just go over which one I chose on this night. I chose to go into Maxie's room, which is a mistake I will regret for the rest of my life, because this section is fucking brutal. Same deal as last time. Find a safe, trigger the security alarm, do some bullshit on your phone while defending yourself from an animatronic. The difference? Well, the thing you have to do on your phone this time is actually more aids than aids itself. You will be sent lines of code by Theo to build a program that will shut down the system's firewall so that Theo can hack the security system and the safe, even though he's already done this exact thing once before. The lines of code are case sensitive, and you will only have a certain amount of time to write each line before it refreshes and you have to start all over. So if you're not a fast typer, then I'm sorry, this will be a challenge for you. I have no idea exactly how many lines you need to type, but if I had to guess, it would probably be somewhere in the ballpark of between 20 and 30. This is bullshit. Maxie will be attacking you the whole time. Defending yourself is easy. Just put your phone down and stare at her. The problem? She takes forever to move, and the timer on your phone will still be counting down. This minigame takes so goddamn fucking cocksucking long to complete. I think it took me probably a solid 20 minutes to finish on my first playthrough, which you can find on my second channel, Dxtr Black. I'm so fucking drained, guys, you don't understand what this series is doing to me, and writing this script, having to relive my trauma that I had thought I had put behind me is absolutely brutal. So please, let's just move on. After completing that bullshit, we move on to the Night 2 post-night minigame 8-bit minigame. Did you catch all that? I don't really care. Let me tell you, this minigame isn't a minigame, it's just a cutscene. Eric is bringing his daughter to work with him, and if you remember, this is an event that happened in one of the 8-bit minigames from Jolly 2. Eric walks into the building and very quickly walks back out to tell his daughter Zoe to not enter the building. He doesn't explain why, but begs her to stay in the car before re-entering the building. And that's where the minigame ends. You know, sometimes when I'm playing a game, I think, wow, this gameplay is truly unrivaled by any other game I've ever played. This game is not one of those games, by the way. Night 2 introduces 2 new characters that I hate, Metal Bonnie and Metal Freddy. Metal Freddy is less rage baity, so let's talk about him first. Metal Freddy has a chance to appear in your office at any time. When he does, all you have to do is flip up the camera within 3 seconds and he'll go away. If you don't, he'll jump scare you and fuck your gas system, which again, can be a huge problem on later nights given how often someone will be in your office. Now, let's talk about Metal Bonnie, and why I hated him so fucking much until I discovered the mega ultimate epic ass Metal Bonnie strategy. Metal Bonnie has a chance to appear in your windows every time you flash your light in them. If he appears anytime you do this, he will immediately jump scare you and fuck your gas supply. In a FNAF game where lights are always a crucial mechanic, this may sound brutal, but you haven't heard about my mega ultimate epic ass Metal Bonnie strategy yet. Basically, the way you perform the mega ultimate epic ass Metal Bonnie strategy is just by not flashing your lights ever. Yeah, forgot to mention that this is literally a worthless mechanic, because you never need to see out of these windows to ever progress through the night at all. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure that out, and you can see how stupid I was in my full playthrough on my second channel, Dxtr Black. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it and I did it. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was a possibility and I did it anyways. Now, after beating that night, we can talk about the lovely night 3 post-night minigame. So which door are we gonna pick here? Let's do this one. Oh, fuck, what the dick? Okay, well, we just got jumped and ganked by Antoinette. What the hell happened? Wait, where are we? Oh shit, we're on a conveyor belt or something. It's at this moment, some random bitch starts talking at us.
What brings you here? In this harmonious place of ours?
Apparently, she knows we're stealing, and she's about to F us in the A. The conveyor belt turns on and we start getting moved towards a giant fucking spiky crusher that would never under any circumstance ever be in a factory. We're shown we have to rapidly spam the up and down arrows on our keyboard to stop ourselves from dying. When I tell you that you have to spam fast as fuck, I mean it. However fast you think you can spam, I bet it's just barely fast enough. If you stop for even a fraction of a second, you will launch towards that crusher at fucking Mach 25. And how long do you have to spam for? 2 full minutes. 2 full minutes of pressing 2 keys quite literally as fast as you can without ever slowing in your tempo even once. I'm shaking as fuck. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. I'm shitting myself on this motherfucking conveyor belt right now, bro. Don't make me do it. I'll short my pants on this fucking conveyor belt on God, I swear to God. Fuck me, I'm gonna die. I'm dead as fuck. Say goodbye to my children. I don't have children. Children suck. Fuck, I'm shitting my pants and pissing them too. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, fuck, I'm gonna die as fuck. I'm shitting myself. It's all down to my shoes and my socks. It's all stuck in my This right here is the worst fucking thing throughout this entire series. It truly does not get worse than this. My arms fucking hurt badly after finishing this section. It actually took me 2 attempts because I couldn't do it for long enough on my first try. This shit sucks, and it sucks hard. People say that Jolly 3 Chapter 1 is the best game in the franchise. They're fucking wrong. This is actually the worst shit I've ever played through in my entire life. I would rather sandpaper my ball sack than ever touch this stupid shit ass section ever again. Now, after that disaster, does the Night 3 post-night minigame, post-minigame, 8-bit minigame do anything that's interesting? Well, yes, actually it does. I was pleasantly surprised at how interesting this minigame actually was. In it, we play as Zoe, who, like a rebel, disobeys her dad and enters the building anyways. It's incredibly dark inside, and after a bit of wandering, she's captured by Eric's boss, who, by the way, was William Afton if you couldn't guess. We're shown Zoe crying in a dark room, and we hear the dialogue between William, who's in the dark back room, and Eric, who's locked outside. Inside of the back room along with Zoe are 4 other children, and we get to hear William argue with Eric as he brutally murders all 4 children, leaving Zoe for last, and forcing Eric to listen and watch as his daughter is murdered in front of his eyes. This is some of the most demented shit I've ever seen. But I actually think it's really cool. Not often in FNAF games do we ever get this close to seeing the terrible acts committed by the villains. And while no, I'm not eager to watch child murder, I think portraying it through these 8-bit minigames is a great way to let the game get serious without actually showing anything horrendously vile. Good job, Jolly. This cutscene is actually really cool, and I can appreciate that. But let's get back to the shit show. Night 4 introduces Jolly himself. Can you guess what he does? Fuck you, he just walks into your office, gas him and he's gone. Yes, every single non-metal character in this game acts exactly the same way. I'm not kidding, they're all identical, just with different patterns for how they get around the map. This is actually such garbage gameplay, I don't really have anything to compare it to. It's just embarrassing and a spit in the face to the player. Want a cherry on top? Jolly is the last character introduced in this game, which means Night 5 is going to be the same repetitive bullshit, but just with some more RNG. Aren't you excited? Now, for the post-night minigame, we finally get to go into the room we tried to get into last night, and the room I chose again could have been chosen on Night 2. If you chose this room, you'd be forced into the maxi room on this night. This one is really easy. All you do is find the safe and type in the code Theo gives you, That's it. No security fuck up, just typing in the code and you're home free. The only thing is that the lights to the room turn off and you get a long ass monologue from the girl who tried to squish you to death in the previous night. It's just the typical, "You don't understand our pain" bullshit you've heard 1,000 times before. When the lights turn back on, you can see the faces of the 4 main animatronics, implying that the soul in Jolly is Zoe, Eric's daughter. Zoe tells us to fix the past so history doesn't repeat itself, and then we're free to continue without any bullshit minigame that makes me want to rip my foreskin into pieces and throw them into the air like confetti. The Night 4 post-night minigame, post-minigame, 8-bit minigame consists of Eric on a boat, which I can only guess is the cargo ship from Jolly 2. We have to dodge guards' flashlights to stay out of their sight, and eventually jump into the back of an unmarked van. Which, by the way, I would never suggest anybody do because that's just a terrible idea. But after that, the minigame is over and we can move on. And please, dear God, let us move on because I'm starting to run out of steam here. Before we begin Night 5, Theo calls us and tells us he wants us to grab a fucking animatronic out of the factory and bring it with us. Are you fucking serious right now? You want me to grab one of the fucking murder robots? Are you out of your fucking mind? I think you're crazy. Eat my ass. I'm gonna do it anyways though, so I guess let's just get through the 5th night. I'm not gonna bore you by talking about it because again, it's just a more RNG bullshit version of Night 4, so let's not waste any time and talk about what happens after you beat it. After completing Night 5, we head back to the Octagon and get a call from Theo. He thinks there might be an unactivated animatronic somewhere deeper in the factory. He apologizes and said that he knows we're tired, but to think about all of the money and recognition we'll get if we can pull this off. This seems like the most classic case of manipulation I've ever seen. But even knowing that, let's continue to fall for it every single time anyways. It's what happens in every single relationship, right? And hey, if we've all made it through one of those, what's stopping us from doing it one more time in Jolly? But this is where Jolly 3 Chapter 1 ends, with us heading deeper into the factory on the hunt for an animatronic to take back with us. Will this end up working out for us? We'll find out next week in the next Dxtr White video. No, I'm just kidding. We're finishing this up now. Alright, let's wrap this shit up, huh? Jolly 3 Chapter 2 continues directly after Chapter 1. Who would have thought? We travel down an elevator into the Jolly Entertainment underground facility in search of a deactivated animatronic. Theo marks a spot on our map, and we actually get to travel around the building much like the movement system in A Shadow Over Freddy's, which by the way is a game I've covered on this channel on Dxtr White. You should watch that video after you watch this one. And fuck it, subscribe to Dxtr Black and Dxtr Blue because this video is sucking my soul out of my body right now. Anyways, after arriving at a door, we scan a key card we have and a robot tells us that we don't have access and to quote, return to our quarters in turn. This audibly confuses Theo and reveals that we are playing as someone who has previously worked for Jolly Entertainment. And if I had to guess who, my money would be on Eric being our main character throughout the games. After a bit more exploring, we enter a security office and a tape begins to play from the CEO of Jolly Entertainment, teaching us how to be night guards. We're told that we'll be put to the test before getting the job, and that he's placed 2 deadly robots in the building to defend ourselves from. Really? This is how you test your interns? Fuck, I see why we quit. But whatever. Instead of letting him explain it, I'm going to explain it because I'm the YouTuber, and it would seem lazy if I just played the phone call out in its entirety, no matter how badly I want to do that so that I don't have to write about this fuck-ass game any longer. Let's get the biggest elephant out of the room, the camera system. This camera system is like nothing I've ever seen in a FNAF game ever, and I'm gonna be honest, I actually really like it. It took me a bit to get used to it, but it's actually pretty cool. The cameras are split up into 4 quarters. Clicking on any of them will zoom in and give you a normal looking FNAF camera map, but with only 3 to 4 buttons on each. Meaning if you want to check on another camera, you have to exit the quarter you're in and select another one. I feel like this makes the pressure of going through the cameras just a bit more interesting and tense, and I think that's something these games have been missing, so good job, Jolly. Anyways, there are only 2 animatronics that can actually end your night in this entire game, and go figure, they're both active on night 1. These characters are Jolly and George. You'll notice in this game that Jolly has taken his head off, and a skinned human head can be seen in its place. Just something Sigma I thought I'd bring up, but yes, This is Jolly. Both characters act the same way, just attacking different doors in your office. Once they get to your office, you'll have to jam their signal. Fun fact, you can tell George is at your office by his glowing eyes like he's straight out of Five Nights at Candy's, so dealing with him is super easy. Jolly, however, is a bit of a tricky one. You cannot see his eyes at the door. So how do you know he's there? Now's a good time to talk about the maintenance panel located behind you. If you turn around, you'll find this panel, and it has 3 tabs located on it. Let's talk about the jammer tab first, since I've already mentioned it. Going to the jammer tab, you'll be able to activate the jammer. Damn, did you need a PhD to figure that one out, fuckface? When Jolly or George is at your door, you have to use the jammer to make them go away. But then the jammer has to recharge, which takes a pretty long damn time. If you ever use the jammer when nobody is at your door, the cooldown will last even longer, so really make sure you know where everyone is. I mentioned not being able to see Jolly at your door. Well, first of all, watching your cameras is important, so that'd probably help. Keeping your eyes on George isn't a big deal because you can see him, but Jolly is someone you're going to want to watch. He actually has 2 paths to your left door. The long way, aka the way you want him to go, and the short way, aka the way you don't want him to go. I'm sure you can guess why. Ding ding ding! Because of the jammer cooldown! Good job! Here, you get a cookie. Anyways, you can always double check where both George and Jolly are by using the radar tab on your maintenance panel. I'm sure you can guess what it does. It pings both of their locations on the map. This way you can tell for sure that Jolly is at your door if context clues on the camera aren't enough for you. However, every time you use the radar, there is an incredibly long cooldown, so only use it when you really can't find Jolly. But woohoo! You beat the night and we get to move on to the post-night 1 minigame, which by the way are way better than the post-night minigames from Chapter 1. You'll be sat in front of a computer. You're tasked with decrypting 10 files each night, which each take a decent amount of time. However, while you're doing this, you'll be being attacked by Rusty Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. Their mechanics are very easy. Every once in a while, you'll hear the sound of a door opening. When you hear it, you'll need to quickly turn around. You'll easily be able to tell which door has been opened, and you need to run over to that door and listen for breathing, just like Five Nights at Freddy's 4. If you hear breathing, you need to flash your light to scare the animatronic away and then lock the door. If you don't hear breathing, then all you need to do is lock the door without flashing your light. Then go back to decrypting. Decrypt all the files and you're home free. All of the animatronics act the same, by the way, so I'm not covering each of them here. Night 2 introduces 2 new characters, Shadow Tweety and Shadow Maxie. Shadow Maxie is not ass, so let's talk about her first. She is literally exactly the same as Metal Chica from Chapter 1, spawning on a camera and fucking you up if you don't put the camera down, except she acts much like a shadow puppet from Five Nights at Freddy's 3, where she'll fuck up your vision and stun you for a while if she jump scares you. So definitely don't let that happen or you will probably die. Shadow Tweety, on the other hand, is a dick. She will slowly start building herself in your office the longer you look forward. Turning around will make her slowly deconstruct. If she ever finishes building herself, she'll jump scare you and cause a ventilation error. Oh wait, shit, I didn't talk about errors. Just like Five Nights at Freddy's 3, you have 3 errors: ventilation, camera, and AC, all of which can happen at complete random, and you'll have to waste a bunch of time repairing them on your maintenance panel. Choosing not to fix any of them can obviously lead to some major issues, so how about you just do it, you little bitch? But that's really about it. Complete the night and you move on to the decryption minigame again, and then back to the night section. No new characters are ever added, it's just harder and harder every time. Same thing goes for the decryption minigame, so there's really not much more to talk about until the end of the 5th night. After completing the 5th night, we get a short cutscene letting us know we have passed the test and we can work here full time, which also explains why we have a keycard in the first place. Theo gives us a call and tells us that the oxygen system in the building has been tampered with. He gives us coordinates to the control room and we have to book it through the building to fix it. It's at this time I get to tell you about a bunch of fucking bullshit. This time, while roaming around the building, George is active and moving around too. And getting around him is the most fucked bullshit on the face of the earth. I literally don't know how to describe how to beat him because I really don't even know what I did. It seems like every single possible movement ends in a death. You have this hold your breath mechanic you're supposed to use, but there is no visual cue to let you know when you're safe to pass him. What you're supposed to do is hold your breath and wait, then exhale and walk past him. You might think, oh, hold your breath until he leaves. But he never leaves. He just stands there, menacingly, staring you down no matter what you do. If you don't hold your breath for just the right amount of time with literally no sign as to how long that's supposed to be, you're fucked and you have to listen to bitch-ass Theo's cutscene again. This took me a stupid amount of time to achieve, and it's honestly the most unenjoyable part of this chapter. But what happens if you get to the control room? Well, you get the misfortune of playing the most brutal and unforgiving night section this series has ever designed. The goal is to stabilize 10 rooms in the facility, but while this is happening, you're getting fucked by George and Jolly. In this office is a window and a door, just like the first Jolly game. You will have to check the light, and if someone is there, close the door until they leave. But here's the catch, you have a power system, and a power system that goes down so incredibly quickly it isn't even funny. When I tell you that you have to play this night perfectly, I'm not exaggerating. Checking the light is a bad idea. Instead, you should listen for sound cues to let you know a character has arrived. When you hear the sound cue, you shouldn't close the door right away because it'll waste too much power. So wait about 3 seconds and then close the door. If you've timed it right, you should very quickly hear them leave. When they leave, you should quickly check the light and open the door. The reason you need to check the light now is because the sound of a character leaving can actually cancel out the sound of one arriving, which is complete bullshit by the way, and for every microsecond that you're not pressing the light button or the door button, you need to make damn sure you're stabilizing the rooms, because if you aren't for even a second, I promise that you will lose this night. I'm being so serious. You have to play this section perfectly. No mistakes, no misclicks. It is fucking brutal the whole fucking time. If you want to get a really good feel for how bad it is, you can check out my playthrough over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. But if you can manage to complete this fucking brutal section of the game, we can continue. Walking through the corridors of the factory, we enter an elevator. Following it down, we reach a massive room. And inside, we find the supposedly deactivated Springtrap animatronic, and Jolly comes to a close. But I'm not done yet. Usually, when I write a script like this, I'm able to get out all of my frustrations. Bad fan games. Love them or hate them, you have to admit they can be pretty funny at times. Maybe you like them because of the bad grammar, bad art, bad storytelling, bad voice acting, or just overall bad design. Well, if you're interested in that, rest assured the fan game we'll be covering today has a bit of all of those components, and I'm excited to share them with you. The game in question is Mario and Animatronic Horror. Made by 2 devs, it serves to be one of the most atrocious fan games ever designed, but it is, in all honesty, one of my favorites. I should note that this game is technically not possible to obtain legitimately and can only be found through websites like the Wayback Machine. This is because Nintendo is the most greedy, grubby company to ever cross this plane of existence. They DMCA'd this game for copyright infringement because it used their characters. So keep in mind, that means that what we're going to see is legally canonical. So enjoy that information as we go along. With that being said, let's jump into Mario and Animatronic Horror. If you're at all familiar with RPG Maker horror games, then a game called Mario the Music Box might ring a few bells to you. Another RPG Maker horror game that uses Mario that is actually pretty good. Let me know if you'd like me to cover it sometime in the future. Mario and Animatronic Horror was actually directly inspired by Mario the Music Box, and it definitely shows. However, as I already mentioned, Mario the Music Box is good, and this game, well... Starting the game, we're met to an anime opening for the game. This is where we first notice that the 3D animations in this game are actually surprisingly pretty solid, and are definitely the best parts of these games. But that's immediately downplayed when you use your ears and notice that the opening music is Panic at the Disco, which they also decided to name incorrectly in the credits, saying Panic on the Disco instead. Panic at the Disco? What is this anime opening? What am I watching? After that masterpiece of an opening finished, we're forced to remember that this is, in fact, a horror game, and we're greeted to an opening cutscene. Mario states that he has voices in his head, canonically revealing that Mario is a schizo. Because of these voices, he decides to get a job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Why does he choose this? I have no fucking idea. And with that, we're tossed right into night 1. Mario walks into the pizzeria and has an amazing reaction to the animatronics on stage.
Mamma mia, those things are terrifying.
I love the dialogue in this game. If you ever play it yourself, you'll notice that what the voice actors say and what you see in the text boxes on screen almost never match at all. But if you don't feel like playing the game yourself, I totally understand. You can watch my full playthrough on my second channel, Dxtr Black. Mario heads back to the office and receives a phone call from Phone Guy. You may think these phone calls will be important, but you'd be completely wrong. These phone calls are basically just the calls from Five Nights at Freddy's 1, except for some reason they didn't want to use the actual audio from the game, so instead they opted to hire a voice actor to read it, and I guess they also didn't just copy and paste the script from the game, but appeared to try their best to rewrite what was said from memory. I'm not sure what the thought process was here.
Hello? Hello, and welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, magical place where grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun can come to life.
In this office is also where I found that this specific tile on the wall had no hitbox, so that's pretty cool. Okay. After the call, Mario is understandably scared from being told that animatronics would try to butt bang him and stuff him in a suit. We cut to a short cutscene from the animatronics who, lucky us, also speak. They talk about how familiar we look. Now, from hearing that, you'd probably think that this would be the same misunderstanding from the actual games, where they think we're William Afton because we're wearing the purple security guard suit. However, that wouldn't make sense because Mario is wearing his normal outfit, which the animatronics even acknowledge. So I have no idea where they got the crack they're snorting, but it was clearly laced. Freddy sends Bonnie to go get Mario from the office and give him a rim job. Mario decides to check the cameras and notices that Bonnie has left the stage. However, rather than using his head and checking the other cameras to see where he's at, Mario instead decides it would be a smarter idea if he went out of the office to go look for Bonnie himself. With that, Mario exits the office and begins exploring. Going near Pirate's Cove, Mario finds a key to the back room and sees a classic FNAF hallucination and sharts his pants. Back room key. Oh, what the fuck? With the back room key, he uses it to get into the back room. I don't really know what you expected to happen, but I guess it's a good thing I'm here to hold your hand and tell you these obvious things because you're too brainwashed. Here, maybe if I speak your language, you'll better understand me. Skibidi Riz Edge Mario goons on a Gaiac Goblin and gets rizzy with it. You understand me now? Alright, let's keep moving. In the back room, Mario reads a newspaper clipping going over the missing children's case. It's not long, however, before Mario's ADHD kicks in and he gets bored and decides to leave. ADHD? More like ADHD's nuts, am I right?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Alright. Anyways, when Mario goes to leave, he hears Bonnie approaching, and we get possibly the funniest line delivery I've ever heard in my life.
You can't hide from your buddy Bonnie. I'm gonna hug you till you burst.
Wasn't that the most amazing thing you've ever heard? Yeah, I bet it was. Mario figures it'd probably be a good idea to hide, and I would probably agree with him. This is where you get the first of many decisions. When you make a choice, you could get wrong at your possible, and you could possible get killed. When you make a choice, the choice could wrong, and you could possible get killed. Where are you going to hide? You can choose either the closet, under the table, or hiding in the Freddy suit on the table. Now, you may be inclined to hide in the most retarded area on the planet, but I would encourage you to not do that. Hiding in the closet is the correct option, but I guess I'll humor you and I'll tell you what happens if you choose the other two options. Let's start with the suit. If you choose to hide in the suit, Bonnie actually won't find you and will leave, which might lead one to believe they made the right decision. But for those of you who are familiar with the FNAF lore, which I imagine is all of you, you'd know that getting into a suit is a pretty bad idea, because Mario ends up getting stuck and spring-locked inside. How'd you get in? Reverse engineer. And you're dead. So good job, buddy. I don't even know why getting inside the suit was an option, given how scared Mario was of getting stuffed inside one. Choosing to hide under the table instead, you would not be surprised to find that Bonnie literally immediately sees you. Because, no shit, that should have been obvious. This is when he grabs you and we get to see another surprisingly good 3D animation, where Bonnie hits us in the dome with his guitar as hard as he can.
I found you.
Oh, damn! Oh, we're dead as fuck, boy. We're dead as fuck. You might think these animations were just found somewhere and imported into the game, but no. As far as I can tell, these animations are actually original to this game, which is actually pretty damn cool. Of course, the closet is the correct choice, so Mario hides in there like a normal person would. Yeah, being gay is pretty safe. Bonnie begins walking around the back room, and even though we hear his footsteps, we're given the choice to peek out. Of course, Mario chooses not to do that because he isn't stupid, and Bonnie eventually does leave, and Mario re-emerges from the closet. As Mario exits the closet, a rusty crowbar appears out of nowhere on the floor and Mario takes it. Heading back to Pirate's Cove, he uses it to open up a crate.
Come on, you stupid crowbar!
Inside the crate, he finds the kitchen key. Now, I think we all know where the kitchen is in the first FNAF game location. This game thought it would be funny to actually not put the kitchen there and instead put it right next to Pirate's Cove. Once in the kitchen, Mario finds a family photo. This is where I should mention the lore of this game sort of follows the original FNAF games, but also says, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I want. This photo seems to show off the Afton family, and you already know Mario decides he needs to pocket that bitch. On the back of the picture is a handwritten note from William himself, naming a son called Nick and another called Kyle, spelled K-Y-E-L, which nobody has ever spelled that way. And no, this isn't just a typo. Kyle is spelled like this throughout the entire game. Boring lore garbage about Kyle enjoying scaring Nick, blah blah blah, bite of 83 bullshit, who cares, let's get to the interesting stuff. Finding nothing else, Mario heads back to the office to check the cameras and notices Foxy isn't in Pirate's Cove, moments later checking to see that Foxy is running down the halls. So, Mario does know how to check the other cameras, which means he really did just choose not to check the other cameras to find Bonnie earlier. Here we get a choice to either close the door or hide under the desk. Why the hell would you choose to hide under the desk? Well, it's to see a cool death animation. Oh shit! He slashed my shit up, bro. But obviously we close the door and keep that little bitch out. After almost dying a second time, Mario decides he should leave the office again and continue to look around. So maybe he is an idiot. We head back to Pirate's Cove and find that an arcade machine has randomly appeared. Since Mario is an actual god gamer, you already know he had to pour some hours into whatever game it is we're about to play. Is it Galaga? Pac-Man? Maybe some Donkey Kong Jr. No, it's actually just a really shitty classic FNAF minigame. I should have figured. In this game, we play as the little baby bitch boy from Five Nights at Freddy's 4, except for some reason his name is Nick, which is just not correct. But whatever. Nick walks into his bedroom and gets absolutely reamed by his brother Kyle, which again, also not his name, but we're just gonna ignore that, I suppose. With the jump scare playing out, the game ends. Mario pretends to be sympathetic for a short moment before forgetting the kid ever existed and walks back to the office where the power then goes out. I could describe to you what happens next, but I think it'd be much funnier if I just let it play out.
Well, I guess that's all the rooms. But I never found the chicken.
Guess you're fucked. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Thank you, Mario. Ooh. Ooh.
Welcome, one and all, it's time to have some fun.
No.
Let's have a party for you, my friend. Hey, don't run away, we want to play with you every night. Hey, buddy, don't run away, it's time to play our happiest day. Now you are trapped in nowhere to hide, no other places you can hide. Hey, just sit back and relax.
What?
You will be nothing but a bloody corpse.
Oh.
And then you'll be in our tomb.
What? It's 6 a.m.
Wasn't that just amazing? You're telling me Beyonce won the Grammy for her shitty country album when this masterpiece existed? God, nobody has any culture anymore. With that, night 1 concludes and we cut straight to night 2 with Mario returning for some reason. Which, by the way, I still really don't know why he's here in the first place. Mario gets back to the office and listens to another useless phone call. We're told the camera doesn't have any batteries and that there are some spares in the kitchen for some reason. And since Mario can't sit in one place for more than 13 seconds, he has to get out of his office and explore what he's already explored. Heading to Pirate's Cove, Mario stumbles right into Chica. Chica threatens him with a good time by offering to put her entire beak into his rectum, but Mario rudely declines and runs into the kitchen to hide. Again, we're given a few options. Let's go over the stupid ones first. If you choose to hide in the oven like a moron, I'm willing to bet you can guess what happens. Hide in the oven? That's an atrocious idea, sure.
I know you're in here. I'm gonna find you.
She almost British? That'd make me hate her more.
I think she's gone.
I don't think she is.
Hey, why won't the door open? Come on! What's that smell?
You, bro, it's you.
Oh no, the oven is on!
Oh shit, you're cooked. That's right, you roast like a pig. Now, if we decide instead to put on our thinking caps like a big boy, we choose to hide under the sink, which is actually not thinking cap behavior now that I think about it, but whatever, because that is the correct option to choose in this case, and I actually don't know if you can even hide anywhere else in the kitchen. After Chica leaves, Mario finds a battery, so he heads back to the office to pop those puppies in the camera, only to find that he needs more. Great. We notice a key to the supply closet on the desk, so we go there to check for more batteries. Lo and behold, we actually find some there, but we also find Bonnie sniffing around for some booty. Upon being groped, Bonnie drops another fire bar.
I found you. Time for some fun.
I love this game so much. Anyways, we fight Bonnie off with some cleaning supplies and book it back to the office to lock Bonnie out. Once Bonnie gives up, Mario checks the cameras and notices an arcade machine inside of the curtains in Pirate's Cove. So, like a moron, he decides to go check it out. We get to the arcade machine and hop into the next Mona Lisa of a minigame. In this minigame, we play as Kyle after the events of the Bite of 83, where instead of taking him to the hospital, they just leave his sorry ass in his room to die. Kyle walks down to the basement feeling a lot of guilt, as he should. This is where William comes downstairs to yell and belittle him. Once again, as he should. But then William goes sicko mode and slits his throat, stuffing his son into the Foxy suit that for some reason they have in their basement. Upon finishing the minigame, Mario notices Foxy is right behind him and a chase ensues. Now, you might see this chest and blade off to the side of the cove, and you might think to use them to your advantage. That's what I thought. But after a few attempts trying to interact with them, I noticed that they're just fucking decorations. Also, for some reason, the Mario avatar art while interacting with these objects is way different from the usual PNGs. Anyways, we run back to the office and lock Foxy out. Once he leaves, we decide it would be a phenomenal idea to exit the office once more and continue to look around. Mario just never learns, does he? In the party room, we find a note on the floor that wasn't there before. The note seems to be from another one of William's sons, who I can only imagine is Michael. Michael's worried about his missing brother and is a little sussy about how weird his father is acting. Going back to the office, we lose power again and again. I can't just describe what happens next. You have to see it yourself. Oh, dick. Bro, we closed the door for like 20 collective seconds. Please don't sing again. Please, dear God, don't. Okay, we're good. This is some bullshit like I wasn't supposed to actually come back to the office. I'll cream my pants, bro.
Aw, man. He didn't finish his song.
I actually really liked it.
I was enjoying that. He should have been on American Idol.
What?
Thanks.
Oh shit. Bro, is he about to get touched? This just might be the best game ever designed. Wasting no time, we jump right into night 3. Phone guy tells us Freddy has been squirting, literally, which like, fucking ew. He tells us it's our job to go to the back room and clean him up, so we head to the back room to do just that. Upon entering, we see Freddy posted up on the table and we're given the option to remove his head, hand, or torso. Choosing to remove his torso, we unsurprisingly find a child's corpse inside. Mario runs to the bathroom like a bitch to vomit, and upon trying to leave, quickly runs back into the stall to hide from Chica, who had just entered. We choose to try and punch Chica, but unfortunately for us, Chica is made out of metal, so she just kills us instead of giving us a blumpkin. Oh, you're dead. Oh, wow, bro, I don't want to eat it. Back the fuck up. Back up, bro. Just shit out my eyes and shit, bro. Fuck off. What you actually have to do is just trip her and run away. Doing exactly that, we run back to the office only to find an arcade machine inside. Okay, let's play it. In this minigame, we play as William as he wrangles up the kids and brutally murders them. William manages to frame his son Michael, but I don't really care. Pretty typical FNAF stuff if I'm being honest. But come on, do we really care about this backstory? Of course not. You're watching this video to learn about the tomfoolery in this game, so let's get back to that. As Mario leaves the office in an attempt to explore again, the power goes out, and Mario asks the most based question of all time. Oh shit,
Are
you're
you
fucked.
serious? Is this power supply running on AA batteries?
Okay, that's a good line. I like that one. Mario decides he's just gonna leave because this is bullshit. However, while trying to leave, Golden Freddy appears right in front of him and night 3 comes to a close. Night 4 has us playing as Luigi, who goes to the pizzeria in search of Mario. As Luigi goes to the office, he finds William fucking around with some crate. After a bit of back and forth, William tells Luigi he's seen Mario around. He says he'll help Luigi find Mario, but that he has something he needs to do first. Giving Luigi the task of keeping the animatronics distracted, he walks off, telling Luigi not to look in his crate. So the very first thing Luigi does is look in the crate, because he's a little rebel and it is in fact not a phase. Inside is a note from Henry. It just says some stupid shit about not believing Michael is a killer. If you remember, William framed his son for the child murders, whatever, boring ass garbage. I want funny haha lines! Luigi goes to the back room and finds an arcade machine. You shouldn't be surprised by these things anymore. This minigame isn't even a game, it's just sitting there like a dunce while Henry talks to you. If you thought Henry's monologue from Pizzeria Simulator was good, you're not even ready for how top tier this monologue is. And you can listen to the whole thing in my playthrough on my second channel, Dxtr Black. After completing this minigame, a Golden Freddy plush appears on the table of the back room and the power once again goes out and Luigi gets scared like a bitch. The plushie offers to help Luigi find his way around the building and to Mario. Luigi agrees and we play a sister location style game where the plushie tells us which directions to go in and when to stay still if there's an animatronic present. The only difference between sister location in this section, however, is that the plushie in this game talks about 400 times slower than Baby did.
What do I need to go to the kitchen for?
You will see. So first, go forward.
After wandering into the kitchen, Luigi meets the marionette. The marionette talks for about 8 hours straight and basically just says, murder bad, I murder murderers, Mario is near the bathroom, go get him. Oh, and also please free the children's souls. We do exactly that and find Mario in a dark room halfway inside of a suit. We solve a code puzzle that opens the suit, which actually makes no sense whatsoever, but whatever, let's just pretend like it does. The brothers walk out of the bathroom and catch Freddy making out with a toilet. No, I'm not joking. This is actually something that is in the game. I have no idea what's going on. I might be having a stroke. Anyways, the brothers go home, as they should. Before starting night 5, we're given the option to go back or not. We obviously choose not to, but psych fucker, that's the wrong option. Luigi's fucking dead. Oh yeah, and Mario's dead too. Watch Fredbear bite his fucking arm off like he's Pennywise and pull him into the fucking void and force him to stare at his brother's corpse until the end of time. Damn. That escalated quickly, didn't it? Yeah, let's just get back to the pizzeria instead and avoid all that. Upon arriving, the brothers hot-bottom to the office to make a game plan. Luigi tells Mario about the promise he made to the marionette, and Mario agrees to help. The brothers go to the kitchen and ask the marionette how they can save the kids' souls. The marionette tells them what they have to do is save each kid. Pretty basic concept.
Tee, go find shit they like, Lamau. Fetch quest time!
To save Chica, we have to go eat the pizza found in the party room and compliment how good it is. That makes the soul of Chica happy, and she gives us a party box and a chest key. Using the chest key, we go to the bathroom and unlock a crate that has Bonnie's guitar inside. We take his guitar to him, saving his soul, and he gives us a party box and another chest key. I'm geeked out of my mind right now. Using the key Bonnie gave us, we unlock a crate in the bathrooms. That crate has a Freddy plush inside. We take the Freddy plush to Freddy in Pirate's Cove, saving his soul, and he gives us another party box. I'm straight up jorking it. Heading back to the kitchen, we see the marionette, Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy having a party. They thank us for the help, but then Foxy shows up. He wants to kill us, but everyone else tells him not to. Golden Freddy soon shows up, which by the way is the brother who got chomped on if it wasn't obvious, and he forgives his brother for killing him. Leaving the party, we get ready to leave the pizzeria, but as we step into the party room, we see William walking towards the bathrooms and decide to follow him. This is the point in the game where we get to see Springlock failure, which is just always a good time, I can't lie.
Hide in my suit.
Kids, it's me, Spring Bonnie. It's your best pal.
Oh shit. Oh, he's fucking dead. Oh damn. After watching the gruesome death, the brothers kick rocks and go back home. And after that, we get the abandoned ending. Oh no. Endings. Let's go! After the credits roll, we're put into the point of view of William inside the Springtrap suit 30 years later. We're given the option to either end the pain or to wait out our time. Choosing end the pain leads to a monologue from William longer than the Henry monologue we had earlier, which I was dead ass falling asleep during. You can see that in my full playthrough over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. 3 shills in one video? God damn, I'm a menace. Choosing this path leads to Springtrap burning down the establishment and ending his life, giving us the We All Burn ending. If we instead choose to wait our time, we get a teaser for the next game in the series, Mario and Animatronic Horror Fazbear Fright Arc, which, spoiler alert, was never released. And with that, that's all Mario and Animatronic Horror has to offer. There is actually a second game called Mario and Animatronic Horror The Nightmare Begins, which is a direct sequel to this game, but it's only a demo that will almost certainly never be finished after the DMCA takedown request. So I won't be talking about it in this video, but you can watch my full playthrough of the demo on my second channel, Dxtr Black. That's 4 self-plugs in one video. What are you gonna do about it, stinker? But with that being said, I really enjoyed my time playing this game. It's definitely a bad game, but I think it has enough charm to make up for that. There's plenty of unintentionally funny moments in this game that make it hard to be forgotten, and I think people will continue to reminisce about this game for years to come. There's actually a remake of this game being developed, although I'm not sure if progress is still being made on it, but I'll be sure to keep you all posted. In my Dormitibus video, I asked you guys what canceled FNAF fan game you'd like to see completed. My favorite answer was this one by Decimal Heckery, who chose Afton Build, and I couldn't agree more. The demo for this game was incredible, and I really think it could have gone somewhere great, even if it didn't get funded by the Fanverse Initiative. The question of this video is, what's your favorite non-typically formulaic FNAF game and why? With the question of the video being asked, I've been Dxtr, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya!